Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight we will be exploring the quiet world of herbs, those gentle plants that have grown alongside humanity for thousands of years. In gardens, in forests, along hillsides and riverbanks, herbs have offered their fragrance, their healing, and their stories. They are both ordinary and extraordinary, found in every kitchen, yet holding secrets that span centuries. Some have traveled across continents in the pockets of explorers. Others have grown in the same soil for generations, tended by hands that knew their names and their purposes. If you enjoy these quiet explorations, I invite you to like and subscribe or share a simple thought down in the comments. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is rest, settle in, and allow the calm of the herbal world to carry you. Let us begin. Basil carries the scent of summer in every leaf. Basil is one of those herbs that announces itself. Even before you touch it, its perfume fills the air, sweet, slightly peppery, unmistakably fresh. Native to tropical regions from Central Africa to Southeast Asia, basil has traveled the world and made itself at home in gardens everywhere. Its leaves are tender, bright green, and full of essential oils that release their fragrance at the slightest brush. In Italy, basil is sacred to cooking, the foundation of pesto and the crown jewel of caprese salad. In Thailand, holy basil lends its spicy, clove-like notes to stir-fries. In India, Tulsi, or holy basil, is revered as a sacred plant, grown in homes and temples as a symbol of devotion. There are dozens of varieties of basil. Some taste like lemon, others carry hints of cinnamon or licorice. Each one is distinct, yet all share that characteristic warmth. Basil thrives in sunlight and warmth, wilting quickly in cold weather. It asks for little except consistent moisture and the occasional pinch to encourage bushier growth. When you harvest basil, you are not just taking leaves, you are capturing the essence of summer itself, bottled in green. Ancient Egyptians used basil in embalming rituals. Long before basil became a kitchen staple, it held sacred status in ancient Egypt. Archaeologists have found traces of basil in burial sites, suggesting it played a role in mummification and funeral rites. The Egyptians believed certain plants could protect the dead on their journey to the afterlife, and basil was among the chosen few. Its strong aromatic oils may have helped preserve bodies or mask odors during the embalming process. Beyond its practical uses, basil was likely seen as spiritually significant, a plant that bridged the world of the living and the dead. The Egyptians were master herbalists, cultivating vast gardens along the Nile where they grew plants for medicine, perfume, and ceremony. Basil's presence in tombs speaks to its importance. It was not merely decorative, it was intentional, placed with care alongside other sacred items. To think that this same herb we toss into pasta sauce once accompanied pharaohs into eternity is humbling. Basil has been a companion to humanity for thousands of years, quietly witnessing our rituals, our meals, and our stories. Basil means king in Greek. The very name basil comes from the Greek word basileus, meaning king. Why such a regal title for a humble garden herb? Some scholars believe it was because basil was considered so valuable, so precious, that it deserved a royal name. In ancient Greece, basil was surrounded by superstition and reverence. Some believed it should only be harvested by those who were ritually pure, perhaps even royalty themselves. Others thought basil should be sown with curses to ensure it grew strong, a strange tradition that hints at how seriously the Greeks took their herbs. In medieval Europe, basil's reputation became more complicated. Some saw it as a symbol of love, while others feared it as a plant of ill omen. Yet the name persisted: basil, the king of herbs. Today, it reigns in kitchens worldwide, its royal title a reminder that even the most common plants carry stories of grandeur. To grow basil is to tend a little patch of history, a plant whose name alone speaks of ancient respect and wonder. Lavender has been cherished for over 2,500 years. Lavender is a plant of quiet elegance. Its slender stalks rise from silvery green foliage, crowned with spikes of purple blooms that sway gently in the breeze. But lavender's beauty is only part of its appeal. For more than 2,500 years, humans have treasured lavender for its fragrance, its calming properties, and its versatility. The ancient Romans used lavender in their baths, and the Latin word lavare, meaning to wash, likely gave the plant its name. Roman soldiers carried lavender to treat wounds, believing its antiseptic qualities could prevent infection. In medieval Europe, lavender was strewn across floors to freshen homes and ward off plague. During the Renaissance, it became a favorite in perfumery, its scent captured in oils and sachets. In the 20th century, French chemist René Maurice Gattefossé famously used lavender oil to heal a burn on his hand, sparking modern interest in aromatherapy. Today, lavender is grown commercially in vast fields that bloom in waves of purple, their fragrance carrying for miles. It is used in soaps, candles, teas, and medicines. Lavender's enduring popularity is no accident. It is a plant that soothes, heals, and delights in equal measure. The scent of lavender can reduce anxiety and promote sleep. There is something undeniably calming about the scent of lavender. Breathe it in, and tension seems to melt away. This is not merely folklore. Scientific studies have shown that lavender's aroma can reduce anxiety, lower heart rate, and improve sleep quality. The key lies in its essential oils, particularly compounds like linalool and linolyl acetate, which interact with the nervous system to produce a sense of calm. Hospitals have used lavender in patient rooms to ease pre-surgery jitters. Parents tuck lavender sachets into children's pillows to encourage restful sleep. Massage therapists blend lavender oil into their work, knowing its scent enhances relaxation. In one study, people who inhaled lavender before bedtime reported deeper, more restorative sleep and woke feeling more refreshed. Another study found that lavender reduced anxiety levels in dental patients waiting for procedures. The evidence is clear. Lavender's reputation as a calming herb is well earned, yet its effects are gentle, never overpowering. It does not force relaxation but invites it, like a quiet whisper in a noisy world. To keep lavender nearby is to have a natural ally against stress, a fragrant reminder to slow down and breathe. Lavender fields in Provence bloom in waves of purple each summer. Every summer, the countryside of Provence in southern France transforms into a sea of purple. Lavender fields stretch as far as the eye can see, their blooms creating rolling waves of color beneath the bright Mediterranean sky. The scent is intoxicating, filling the air with a sweetness that seems to define the season itself. Farmers have cultivated lavender in Provence for centuries, harvesting it at peak bloom to extract its precious oils. The sight of these fields has become iconic, drawing travelers from around the world who come simply to stand among the flowers and breathe deeply. The best time to see Provence's lavender is late June through early August, when the flowers are in full bloom. The landscape becomes a patchwork of purple, green, and gold, punctuated by old stone farmhouses and rows of cypress trees. Bees hum lazily from blossom to blossom, gathering nectar to make lavender honey. The air shimmers with heat and fragrance. It is a place where time seems to slow, where the worries of the world fade into the hum of insects and the rustle of wind through the flowers. To visit a lavender field in bloom is to experience one of nature's most peaceful spectacles. Ancient Greeks and Romans used lavender to scent their baths. Bathing in ancient Rome was not merely about cleanliness. It was a social ritual, a place of relaxation and conversation, and lavender was often part of the experience. Romans added lavender flowers and oils to their bathwater, enjoying the fragrance and the soothing effect it had on tired muscles. Public bathhouses were grand structures, heated and perfumed, where citizens gathered to unwind after a long day. Lavender's name itself comes from the Latin lavare, to wash, a testament to how closely the plant was associated with bathing. The Greeks, too, appreciated lavender's aromatic qualities. They used it in perfumes and as incense, burning it in temples and homes. Both cultures understood that lavender did more than smell pleasant. It had a calming effect, a way of easing the mind and body. Soldiers returning from battle would bathe in lavender-scented water to cleanse wounds and relax. Wealthy citizens kept lavender oils in their homes, using them for personal grooming and to scent their clothing. This ancient love of lavender has never faded. 2,000 years later, we still add lavender to our baths, continuing a tradition that began in the marble halls of Rome. Rosemary was once believed to improve memory and focus. Rosemary is a plant of resilience, thriving in rocky, dry soils where other herbs struggle. Its needle-like leaves are tough and fragrant, releasing a sharp, piney aroma when crushed. For centuries, rosemary has been associated with memory and mental clarity. Ancient Greek students wore garlands of rosemary while studying, believing it sharpened their minds. In Hamlet, Ophelia says, "There's rosemary, that's for remembrance." This connection between rosemary and memory is not just poetic. Modern research has found that compounds in rosemary, particularly one called 1880 cineole, may enhance cognitive performance and improve concentration. In one study, people in rooms scented with rosemary performed better on memory tasks than those in unscented rooms. Another study found that rosemary essential oil improved alertness and mood. The exact mechanisms are still being studied, but it appears that rosemary's aromatic compounds can influence brain chemistry in subtle ways. Historically, rosemary was burned as incense during exams or important events, its smoke believed to keep the mind sharp. Brides carried rosemary in their bouquets to remember their wedding day. Mourners placed rosemary on graves to signify that the dead would not be forgotten. Rosemary became a symbol of remembrance, a plant that helps us hold on to what matters. Rosemary grows wild along the Mediterranean coast. Walk along the sun-baked cliffs of the Mediterranean, and you will find rosemary growing wild, clinging to rocky soil where little else survives. It thrives in the heat, its roots seeking moisture deep underground, while its foliage endures the relentless sun. The plant's natural habitat is coastal, where sea breezes carry salt spray and the earth is poor in nutrients. Yet, rosemary flourishes, filling the air with its resinous scent. In Greece, Spain, and southern France, wild rosemary blankets hillsides, its tiny blue flowers attracting bees and butterflies. For centuries, people living along the coast have harvested wild rosemary for cooking and medicine. They knew which plants grew in the best spots, where the soil and sun combined to produce the most aromatic leaves. Today, much of the rosemary we use is cultivated, but wild rosemary still grows in abundance, a testament to the plant's hardiness. To see rosemary in its native landscape is to understand why it thrives in gardens worldwide. It is a survivor, a plant that asks for little and gives much. Its wild origins are written in its tough, evergreen leaves, and its ability to endure drought and heat without complaint. The name rosemary means dew of the sea. Rosemary's name carries the essence of its origins. It comes from the Latin ros marinus, meaning dew of the sea. This poetic name reflects where rosemary grows naturally, along coastal cliffs where mist from the ocean settles on its leaves like morning dew. In the early light, wild rosemary glistens, its silvery green foliage dotted with moisture from the sea air. The name also hints at rosemary's refreshing quality, its clean, invigorating scent that seems to carry the freshness of ocean breezes. For ancient people living along the Mediterranean, rosemary was a familiar sight and smell, as much a part of the landscape as the sea itself. They wove it into their language, their cooking, and their traditions. Rosmarinus, the dew of the sea, became a plant associated with purity and renewal. To this day, rosemary retains that sense of freshness. Whether used in cooking, medicine, or ritual, it brings with it the spirit of the coast, a reminder of wild places where land meets water and herbs grow strong in the salt-kissed air. Rosemary can live for decades and grow into woody shrubs. Unlike many herbs that live for a single season, rosemary is a perennial that can thrive for decades if given the right conditions. In warm climates, rosemary grows into substantial woody shrubs, their trunks gnarled and thick, their branches heavy with fragrant foliage. Some rosemary plants are known to live for 30 years or more, becoming fixtures in gardens and landscapes. As they age, they develop character, their shapes sculpted by wind and pruning, their roots anchoring deep into the earth. Old rosemary plants are treasured. They produce more foliage, more flowers, and their woody stems can be used for grilling, adding a smoky, herbal flavor to food. In Mediterranean gardens, ancient rosemary shrubs stand as monuments to patience, their presence a reminder that some plants are in it for the long haul. They weather droughts, storms, and the passage of time, growing stronger with each season. To plant rosemary is to plant something that might outlive you, a gift to future generations who will walk past its branches and breathe in its timeless scent. Thyme has been used as a symbol of courage since ancient times. Thyme is a low-growing herb with tiny leaves and an outsized reputation. In ancient Greece, thyme was associated with courage and bravery. Greek soldiers bathed in thyme-infused water before battle, believing it would fortify their spirits. The phrase, "to smell of thyme," was a compliment, suggesting someone possessed strength and vigor. During the Middle Ages, European knights carried sprigs of thyme into battle, embroidered onto scarves by ladies who wished them courage and protection. Thyme became a token of bravery, a small plant with a mighty symbolism. This association may have roots in thyme's own resilience. It grows in poor soils, on rocky slopes, and in harsh climates, enduring where other plants fail. Its tough, woody stems and aromatic leaves seem to embody strength. Thyme also has natural antiseptic properties, which made it valuable for treating wounds. Perhaps courage and healing were always linked in people's minds. To carry thyme was to carry both protection and strength. Today, thyme is mostly known as a culinary herb, essential in French and Mediterranean cooking. But its history as a symbol of courage lingers, a reminder that even small plants can carry great meaning. There are over 300 species of thyme in the world. Thyme is not a single plant, but a vast family. Botanists estimate there are over 300 species of thyme, each with its own characteristics. Some creep low to the ground, forming dense mats perfect for ground cover. Others grow upright, their stems woody and their leaves silvery. The most common culinary thyme is Thymus vulgaris, but there are countless others. Lemon thyme smells citrusy and bright, Caraway thyme carries a hint of spice. Woolly thyme has soft, fuzzy leaves that feel like velvet. This diversity makes thyme a favorite among gardeners who enjoy variety. You can plant a thyme garden with a dozen different types, each offering a unique scent and appearance. Wild thyme grows on mountains and hillsides across Europe, Asia, and North Africa, adapting to local conditions over millennia. Some species are so small they are barely noticeable. Tiny plants tucked between rocks. Others form sprawling bushes. What unites them all is their aromatic nature and their tough, enduring character. Thyme, in all its forms, is a plant that thrives through diversity. Wild thyme carpets, Mediterranean hillsides with purple blooms. In spring and summer, hillsides across the Mediterranean explode with the color and scent of wild thyme. The plants bloom in waves of purple, pink, and white, their tiny flowers attracting clouds of bees and butterflies. Walking through a field of wild thyme is an experience for the senses. Each step releases a burst of fragrance, and the air hums with the sound of insects gathering nectar. The landscape seems alive, vibrant with color and movement. Wild thyme grows in places where cultivated plants struggle. On dry, rocky slopes, in thin soil under the full sun, wild thyme thrives. Its roots dig deep, finding moisture where none seems to exist. Shepherds and farmers have long known wild thyme as a sign of healthy land, its presence indicating good grazing for livestock. Bees that feed on wild thyme produce honey with a distinctive, aromatic flavor, prized for its depth and complexity. To see wild thyme in bloom is to witness a landscape in harmony, where plants, insects, and sunlight come together in a quiet celebration of life. Thyme honey is considered some of the finest in the world. Honey made from thyme blossoms is treasured by connoisseurs. It is darker than clover honey, with an amber or reddish hue, and its flavor is complex, slightly sweet, faintly herbal, with a warm finish that lingers on the tongue. Thyme honey is produced primarily in Greece, particularly on Mount Hymettus near Athens, where wild thyme has grown for thousands of years. Ancient Greeks considered Hymettus honey sacred, using it in religious offerings and as a luxury food. The honey's reputation has endured. Today, Greek thyme honey is exported worldwide, prized for its unique taste and the care with which it is produced. Bees that gather thyme nectar produce honey with natural antibacterial properties, thanks to compounds in the thyme itself. This makes thyme honey not just delicious, but also valued in traditional medicine for soothing sore throats and aiding digestion. A spoonful of thyme honey is a small indulgence, a taste of wild hillsides and ancient traditions. It connects the eater to the land where the thyme grows, to the bees that labored over countless blossoms, and to centuries of people who have treasured this golden gift from the hive. Mint spreads so vigorously it can take over a garden. Mint is a plant of enthusiasm. Once established, it spreads with remarkable speed, sending out runners underground that pop up as new plants, far from the original. In a garden, mint can quickly become invasive, colonizing flower beds and squeezing out less aggressive plants. Gardeners who plant mint directly in the ground often regret it, finding mint appearing in unexpected places year after year. The solution is to grow mint in containers, where its roots are confined and its ambitions kept in check. But even then, mint's vigor is impressive. It grows quickly, produces abundant foliage, and seems almost impossible to kill. This tenacity is part of mint's charm. It is a plant that wants to thrive, that responds to even minimal care with explosive growth. In the wild, mint grows along streams and in damp meadows where its spreading habit helps it colonize moist ground. Humans have taken advantage of this, cultivating mint in gardens and fields for thousands of years. Despite its tendency to take over, mint is welcomed because of its refreshing flavor and countless uses. A plant that grows so eagerly is a plant that gives generously. And for all its aggressiveness, mint remains one of the world's most beloved herbs. There are over 600 varieties of mint. Walk into a garden center, and you will find mint in many forms. Peppermint, with its bold, cooling flavor. Spearmint, sweeter and milder. Chocolate mint, which smells faintly of cocoa. Apple mint, pineapple mint, ginger mint. The list goes on. Botanists estimate there are over 600 varieties of mint, a testament to the plant's adaptability and its popularity with breeders. Each variety has subtle differences in flavor, scent, and appearance. Some have smooth leaves, others are fuzzy. Some grow tall and upright, others sprawl. This diversity means there is a mint for every purpose. Culinary mints like spearmint and peppermint dominate kitchens, used in teas, desserts, and savory dishes. Ornamental mints add fragrance and texture to gardens. Some mints are grown primarily for their essential oils, used in toothpaste, gum, and candies. The variety within the mint family is a reminder of nature's creativity. From a handful of wild species, humans have cultivated hundreds of forms, each one a variation on the theme of cool, refreshing mintiness. To explore the world of mint is to discover endless small pleasures, each variety offering its own unique expression of this ancient herb. Ancient Greeks rubbed mint on tables to welcome guests. Hospitality in ancient Greece was a sacred duty, and mint played a small but meaningful role. Before guests arrived for a meal, hosts would rub fresh mint leaves on tables and benches, releasing the herb's refreshing scent. This practice served a practical purpose, masking less pleasant odors in an era before modern sanitation, but it also symbolized welcome and respect. The scent of mint greeted visitors, signaling that care had been taken to prepare for their arrival. In Greek mythology, mint itself has a story. The nymph Minth caught the eye of Hades, god of the underworld. His jealous wife Persephone transformed Minth into a low-growing plant, doomed to be trampled underfoot. But Hades gave the plant a beautiful fragrance, ensuring that every time it was stepped on, it would release a lovely scent. This myth reflects how the Greeks saw mint as a plant of transformation and resilience, something that could be crushed yet still offer beauty. The tradition of using mint to freshen spaces continued through the ages. Medieval Europeans strewed mint on floors. Victorian households kept mint in rooms to improve the air. Today, we use mint in cleaning products, breath fresheners, and aromatherapy. The impulse to welcome with the scent of mint is as old as civilization itself. Peppermint is a natural hybrid of spearmint and watermint. Peppermint, the sharp, cooling mint so familiar in candies and teas, does not exist in the wild. It is a hybrid, created when spearmint and watermint cross-pollinated, likely hundreds of years ago, in Europe. The resulting plant, Mentha piperita, combines traits from both parents. It has the sweet freshness of spearmint and the intense cooling sensation of watermint, thanks to high levels of menthol. Peppermint is sterile, meaning it cannot produce viable seeds. It spreads only through runners, clones of the original hybrid. This makes every peppermint plant a descendant of that first accidental cross, a botanical lineage stretching back centuries. Peppermint's popularity exploded in the 18th century when it was discovered that its oil could soothe digestive troubles. Peppermint tea became a remedy for upset stomachs, and peppermint oil was used to flavor medicines, making them more palatable. Today, peppermint is one of the most widely used herbs in the world. Its essential oil is a multi-million-dollar industry, found in everything from toothpaste to ice cream. That such a ubiquitous plant is a hybrid, a happy accident of nature, is a reminder that some of the best things in life come from unexpected combinations. Menthol in mint creates a cooling sensation without lowering temperature. When you chew peppermint gum or sip mint tea, you feel a cooling sensation, but your mouth is not actually getting colder. The feeling comes from menthol, a compound in mint that tricks your brain. Menthol activates cold-sensitive receptors on your tongue and skin, the same receptors that respond to actual cold. Your brain interprets this as coolness, even though the temperature has not changed. It is a sensory illusion, a chemical sleight of hand. This property makes mint uniquely refreshing. It is why mint is added to toothpaste, creating a clean, cool feeling. It is why mint is used in balms and ointments for sore muscles, providing a soothing sensation. The cooling effect of menthol is so convincing that it can even reduce the perception of pain, numbing the area slightly. Scientists have studied how menthol works, mapping the receptors it activates and the pathways it triggers in the nervous system. But no amount of understanding diminishes the simple pleasure of that cool, clean feeling. Mint's ability to fool the senses is part of its magic, a reminder that perception is not always reality. Chamomile flowers have been brewed into tea for thousands of years. Chamomile is the embodiment of gentleness. Its small, daisy-like flowers bloom in cheerful white and yellow, and when dried and steeped in hot water, they release a sweet, apple-like aroma. Chamomile tea has been consumed for thousands of years, valued for its calming properties and mild, pleasant flavor. Ancient Egyptians dedicated chamomile to the sun god Ra, using it in remedies for fever and ailments. The Greeks and Romans drank chamomile tea to settle the stomach and ease anxiety. In medieval Europe, chamomile was grown in monastery gardens, where monks brewed it into medicinal teas. Chamomile's reputation as a sleep aid is well earned. It contains apigenin, an antioxidant that binds to certain receptors in the brain, promoting relaxation and drowsiness. Drinking a cup of chamomile tea before bed has become a bedtime ritual for millions of people, a signal to the body that it is time to wind down. The tea itself is soothing, not just in its effects, but in the act of preparing and drinking it, warming your hands on the mug, breathing in the floral steam, sipping slowly. These small rituals help ease the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Chamomile does not force rest. It invites it, like a gentle hand on the shoulder at the end of a long day. The name chamomile means ground apple in Greek. Chamomile's name comes from the Greek words chamai, meaning on the ground, and melon, meaning apple. Together, they form chamai melon, ground apple. The name refers to chamomile's low-growing habit and the sweet, apple-like scent of its flowers. When you crush fresh chamomile blossoms, the fragrance is reminiscent of ripe apples, warm and fruity with a floral undertone. Ancient Greeks noticed this and gave the plant a name that captured its essence. Chamomile grows close to the earth, spreading in meadows and along paths, its flowers bobbing just above the ground. In many European languages, chamomile retained variations of this Greek name, a testament to the plant's long history in Western herbal traditions. The idea of a ground apple is charming, evoking images of orchards and harvest, even though chamomile is not related to apples at all. It is a poetic name, one that speaks to how our ancestors observed the natural world with careful attention, finding beauty and meaning in the smallest details. To drink chamomile tea is to partake in that ancient observation, to taste the ground apple brewed into liquid calm. Peter Rabbit's mother gave him chamomile tea in Beatrix Potter's tale. In Beatrix Potter's beloved story, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, young Peter sneaks into Mr. McGregor's garden and eats far too many vegetables, causing a terrible stomachache. When he finally makes it home, exhausted and sick, his mother tucks him into bed and gives him a dose of chamomile tea. Potter's inclusion of chamomile was not random. She was drawing on traditional herbal knowledge, the kind passed down through generations in English households. Chamomile tea was a common remedy for upset stomachs, especially in children. It was gentle, safe, and effective, perfect for soothing a naughty rabbit who had overindulged. This small detail in the story reflects how deeply herbs were woven into daily life in Potter's time. Chamomile was not exotic. It was practical, something every mother kept on hand. The image of Mrs. Rabbit administering chamomile tea became iconic, cementing the herb's association with care and comfort. Generations of children grew up hearing this story, learning that chamomile was the remedy for tummy troubles and the consequence of mischief. In a way, Beatrix Potter became an ambassador for chamomile, introducing it to countless readers and ensuring its place in the collective imagination as the herb of gentle healing. German chamomile and Roman chamomile are different plants. Though they share a name and similar uses, German chamomile and Roman chamomile are distinct species. German chamomile, Matricaria camomilla, is an annual plant that grows upright, often reaching a foot or more in height. Its flowers are larger, and it is the type most commonly used for tea. Roman chamomile, Chamaemelum nobile, is a perennial that grows low to the ground, forming dense mats. Its flowers are smaller, and the plant is often used as a ground cover or lawn substitute, releasing a sweet scent when walked upon. Both contain beneficial compounds and have been used medicinally for centuries, but their flavors and chemical compositions differ slightly. German chamomile has higher levels of certain essential oils, making it more potent for tea. Roman chamomile is often preferred for topical applications and aromatherapy. Despite these differences, both are called chamomile, and both offer the calming, soothing qualities the name implies. The existence of two chamomiles is a reminder that nature rarely offers just one solution. Instead, it provides variations, each adapted to different needs and environments. Whether you are drinking German chamomile tea or walking barefoot across a Roman chamomile lawn, you are experiencing the gentle hospitality of this ancient herb. Chamomile lawns were popular in medieval Europe. Before the modern lawn became the standard, European gardens featured many creative ground covers. One of the most enchanting was the chamomile lawn. Instead of grass, gardeners planted Roman chamomile, which grows low and dense, forming a soft, fragrant mat. When walked upon, chamomile releases its sweet, apple-like scent, turning every stroll across the lawn into an aromatic experience. Medieval and Renaissance gardens often included chamomile seats, raised beds filled with chamomile, where one could sit and enjoy the fragrance. These living seats appeared in herbal manuals and garden designs, celebrated for their beauty and sensory appeal. Shakespeare mentioned chamomile in Henry IV, noting that the more it is trodden on, the faster it grows, a reference to chamomile's resilience. Though chamomile lawns require more maintenance than grass and cannot withstand heavy foot traffic, they offer something grass cannot: a lawn that smells like apples, that releases its perfume with every step. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in chamomile lawns as people seek alternatives to traditional turf. To lie on a chamomile lawn, feeling the soft plants beneath you and breathing in their sweetness, is to experience a garden tradition that stretches back centuries. Sage has been considered a healing herb for millennia. Sage is a plant of wisdom and longevity. Its name comes from the Latin salvare, meaning to save or to heal, a reflection of its long history as a medicinal herb. For millennia, sage has been used to treat ailments ranging from sore throats to digestive troubles. The ancient Romans considered sage sacred, harvesting it with special rituals and using it in remedies. Medieval herbalists believed sage could extend life, leading to the saying, "Why should a man die whilst sage grows in his garden?" This proverb captures the esteem in which sage was held, a plant so powerful it was thought to ward off death itself. Sage contains compounds with antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties, which may explain its effectiveness in traditional medicine. Sage tea was gargled for mouth sores and sore throats. Sage leaves were chewed to clean teeth and freshen breath. Poultices of sage were applied to wounds to prevent infection. Modern research has begun to validate some of these uses, finding that sage does indeed have antimicrobial effects. But even without scientific proof, sage's reputation endured for thousands of years, passed down through generations who trusted in its healing power. To grow sage is to grow a plant steeped in history, a living link to the healers and herbalists of the past. The Latin name for sage, salvia, means to save or to heal. The genus name for sage, salvia, comes from the Latin verb salvia, which means to save, to heal, or to be in good health. This name is no accident. It reflects the deep respect ancient Romans had for sage as a healing plant. Salvia officinalis, the common culinary sage, was one of the most important herbs in Roman medicine. Its leaves were used in countless remedies, and its reputation spread throughout the empire. When Linnaeus, the father of modern taxonomy, classified plants in the 18th century, he retained the ancient name salvia, honoring the plant's heritage. Today, the genus Salvia includes nearly 1,000 species, many of them ornamental rather than medicinal. But the name endures, a reminder of the plant's origins. To call something salvia is to invoke healing, to suggest that this plant has something to offer beyond beauty. Even if modern gardeners grow sage primarily for cooking or decoration, the name whispers of older purposes, of hands that reached for sage when illness struck, believing it held the power to save. Language carries history, and in the case of sage, that history is one of hope and healing. Sage was used to preserve meat before refrigeration. Before refrigerators, preserving meat was a challenge. Salt, smoking, and drying were common methods, but herbs also played a role. Sage, with its strong antimicrobial properties, was rubbed into meat to slow spoilage. Its pungent oils helped inhibit bacterial growth, extending the life of fresh meat in warm weather. Sage was especially popular for preserving pork, and this association remains in dishes like sage sausage, where sage is a traditional seasoning. The herb's flavor, strong and slightly camphoraceous, complemented the richness of pork, making the preserved meat more palatable. In medieval kitchens, bundles of sage hung from rafters alongside other herbs, ready to be used in cooking and preservation. Housewives knew which herbs kept food safe and which enhanced flavor, and sage did both. The practice of using sage to preserve meat has largely disappeared with modern refrigeration, but the culinary pairing remains. Sage and pork is a classic combination, and sage appears in stuffings, sausages, and roasts. What began as practical food preservation became a beloved flavor tradition, one that connects modern cooks to their ancestors who relied on sage not just for taste, but for survival. Purple sage, pineapple sage, and common sage are all different species. When most people think of sage, they picture common culinary sage, Salvia officinalis, with its soft, gray-green leaves and savory flavor. But the Salvia genus is vast and diverse. There are nearly 1,000 species of sage, each with unique characteristics. Purple sage, Salvia dorii, is a wild sage native to the American Southwest, with purple flowers and silvery foliage. It thrives in deserts and high plains, its roots deep in the dry earth. Pineapple sage, Salvia elegans, is an entirely different plant, with bright green leaves and scarlet flowers. True to its name, pineapple sage smells and tastes like fresh pineapple, a tropical sweetness that seems impossible in a sage plant. There are sages that bloom in fiery red, soft pink, deep blue, and pure white. Some are woody shrubs, others are soft perennials. Some sages are grown for ornament, prized for their flowers and foliage. Others are used in cooking, medicine, or ceremony. This diversity within the sage family is a testament to the adaptability of the genus. From Mediterranean hillsides to American deserts to tropical gardens, sage has found a way to thrive, evolving into countless forms while retaining the essence that makes it sage. Native Americans burned sage in purification ceremonies. For many indigenous peoples of North America, sage is a sacred plant. White sage, Salvia apiana, and other native species have been used for centuries in spiritual ceremonies and healing rituals. Bundles of dried sage, called smudge sticks, are burned to produce fragrant smoke, believed to cleanse spaces and people of negative energy. This practice, known as smudging, is a form of spiritual purification, a way to restore balance and invite good spirits. The smoke is wafted over individuals, into corners of rooms, and around sacred objects, its scent carrying prayers and intentions. Sage used in these ceremonies is harvested with respect, often with prayers and offerings. The plant is considered a gift from the Creator, and its use is tied to cultural identity and spiritual practice. In recent years, smudging has become popular outside indigenous communities, but this has raised concerns about cultural appropriation and over-harvesting of wild sage. White sage, in particular, faces pressure from commercial demand. Many indigenous leaders ask that non-native people approach these practices with respect, understanding their significance and being mindful of the plant's sustainability. To burn sage is to engage with a living tradition, one that deserves honor and care. Parsley is one of the most widely used herbs in the world. Parsley is everywhere. In restaurant kitchens and home gardens, in grocery stores and farmers' markets, parsley is a constant presence. Its bright green leaves, either flat or curly, add color and freshness to countless dishes. Parsley is used as a garnish, yes, but it is far more than decoration. Its clean, slightly peppery flavor enhances soups, salads, sauces, and stews. In Middle Eastern cuisine, parsley is the star of tabbouleh, a salad where parsley leaves outnumber every other ingredient. In French cooking, parsley is part of fines, herbs, and bouquet garnis, classic herb blends. Parsley's popularity comes from its versatility and accessibility. It grows easily in most climates, produces abundant foliage, and pairs well with nearly every type of food. It is mild enough not to overpower, but flavorful enough to contribute. This balance has made parsley a staple in cuisines around the world. Beyond its culinary uses, parsley is rich in vitamins A, C, and K, and has been used in traditional medicine to aid digestion and freshen breath. To chew a sprig of parsley after a meal is an old remedy for garlic breath, a practice that remains common today. Ancient Greeks used parsley to crown victors of athletic games. In ancient Greece, parsley held a place of honor. Athletes who won competitions at the Nemean Games, one of the 4 major Pan-Hellenic games, were crowned with wreaths made of parsley. These crowns were symbols of victory and excellence, much like the laurel wreaths awarded at other games. Parsley was also associated with death and the underworld, and the Greeks planted it on graves. This dual symbolism, life and death, victory and mourning, made parsley a complex plant in Greek culture. It was both celebrated and respected, woven into rituals of triumph and remembrance. The Greeks grew parsley in their gardens, but they also believed it was slow to germinate because the seeds had to travel to the underworld and back 9 times before sprouting. This myth reflects the observation that parsley seeds can take weeks to germinate, a frustratingly long wait for gardeners. Despite this, parsley was widely cultivated, valued for its flavor and its symbolic power. Today, the association with athletic victory has faded, but parsley's place in gardens and kitchens has only grown stronger. Parsley seeds can take several weeks to germinate. Any gardener who has planted parsley knows the test of patience it requires. While basil and cilantro sprout within days, parsley seeds can take 3 to 4 weeks to germinate, sometimes longer. They sit in the soil, seemingly inert, while the gardener wonders if they are viable at all. Then, finally, tiny green shoots appear, and the wait is over. This slow start is due to the hard coating on parsley seeds, which needs time to soften and allow moisture to penetrate. Some gardeners soak parsley seeds overnight before planting to speed the process, softening the seed coat and giving them a head start. Others simply plant the seeds and wait, trusting that they will eventually emerge. The ancient Greek myth that parsley seeds must travel to the underworld 9 times captures the frustration of this wait. But once parsley germinates and establishes itself, it grows vigorously, producing lush foliage throughout the growing season. The lesson of parsley is patience. Not all good things come quickly. Some require waiting, trusting that beneath the surface, slow and essential work is happening. When those first parsley seedlings finally push through the soil, they feel like small victories. Flat leaf and curly parsley taste slightly different. There are 2 main types of parsley, flat leaf and curly, and they are more than just visually distinct. Flat leaf parsley, also called Italian parsley, has broad, flat leaves and a robust, slightly peppery flavor. It is the preferred type for cooking, as its flavor holds up well to heat and complements savory dishes. Curly parsley, with its tightly ruffled leaves, has a milder, slightly grassier taste. It is often used as a garnish, its decorative appearance adding a finishing touch to plates. Some cooks consider curly parsley less flavorful, but others appreciate its subtlety. The difference between the 2 types is a matter of personal preference and culinary tradition. In Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cuisines, flat-leaf parsley dominates. In American and British cooking, curly parsley was historically more common, though flat-leaf has gained popularity. Both types are nutritious and easy to grow, and both have their place in the kitchen. Whether you choose flat or curly, the key is freshness. Parsley loses its vibrant flavor quickly once picked, so the best parsley is the parsley harvested just before use, its leaves still damp with morning dew. Cilantro and coriander come from the same plant. This fact surprises many people. Cilantro, the fresh, bright herb used in salsas and Asian dishes, and coriander, the warm, citrusy spice, come from the same plant, Coriandrum sativum. Cilantro refers to the leaves, while coriander refers to the seeds. The 2 taste completely different. Cilantro is fresh, grassy, and slightly citrusy, with a flavor that some people love and others detest. Coriander seeds, once dried and ground, are sweet, warm, and lemony, with a flavor that is universally appreciated. The same plant produces two distinct flavors, a duality that makes it uniquely versatile. In the United States, the distinction between cilantro and coriander is clear. In many other parts of the world, the entire plant is called coriander, with the leaves specified as fresh coriander or coriander leaf. This can cause confusion, but it also reflects how different cultures use the plant. In Indian cooking, both the leaves and seeds are essential, each bringing its own character to dishes. In Mexican cuisine, the leaves are beloved, while the seeds are less commonly used. The plant's ability to offer two distinct ingredients from one source is a gift to cooks everywhere. Some people are genetically predisposed to dislike cilantro. For some people, cilantro tastes like soap. This is not a matter of opinion or acquired taste. It is genetic. Studies have identified specific genes, particularly one called OR6A2, that affect how people perceive the aldehydes in cilantro. For those with certain variations of this gene, cilantro's flavor compounds resemble those found in soap, creating an unpleasant, soapy taste. This genetic quirk affects an estimated 10 to 14% of people, though the percentage varies by ethnicity and region. For these individuals, cilantro is not just disliked. It is inedible, ruining dishes where it appears. For the rest of the population, cilantro is delightful, adding brightness and freshness to food. This division has sparked debates, jokes, and even social media groups dedicated to cilantro hatred. But behind the humor is a real phenomenon, a reminder that our perceptions of flavor are shaped by our biology. What tastes wonderful to one person may taste awful to another, and neither is wrong. Cilantro's polarizing nature has made it one of the most discussed herbs, a plant that inspires both devotion and disdain in equal measure. Cilantro has been cultivated for over 7,000 years. Cilantro is ancient, one of the oldest herbs in human use. Archaeological evidence suggests it was cultivated in the Eastern Mediterranean more than 7,000 years ago. Coriander seeds have been found in ancient Egyptian tombs, including the tomb of Tutankhamun, where they were placed as offerings for the afterlife. The ancient Greeks and Romans used cilantro extensively, both as a flavoring and as a medicine. Roman soldiers carried coriander seeds, using them to flavor bread and preserve meat during long campaigns. In ancient China, cilantro was believed to confer immortality, and in India, it has been a staple of cooking and Ayurvedic medicine for millennia. The plant's long history is a testament to its value. Cultures that had no contact with one another independently discovered and cultivated cilantro, recognizing its usefulness. This widespread adoption speaks to cilantro's adaptability. It grows in a range of climates, from Mediterranean hillsides to tropical plains, and it offers both fresh leaves and dried seeds, each with distinct culinary applications. Cilantro's 7,000-year journey, from wild plant to global staple, is a story of human ingenuity and the enduring appeal of herbs that make food taste better. Fresh cilantro leaves lose their flavor quickly after harvest. Cilantro is notoriously delicate. Once picked, its leaves begin to wilt and lose flavor within hours. This is why fresh cilantro is rarely sold in dried form. Drying cilantro leaves destroys much of their essential oils, leaving behind a shadow of the original flavor. For the best taste, cilantro should be used as fresh as possible, ideally harvested just before cooking. Cooks who grow cilantro in their gardens have a distinct advantage. able to snip a handful of leaves at the exact moment they are needed. For those buying cilantro, choosing the freshest bunches is essential. Look for vibrant green leaves, no wilting or yellowing, and a strong, fresh scent. To store cilantro, treat it like a bouquet of flowers. Trim the stems and place them in a jar of water, covering the leaves loosely with a plastic bag. Kept this way in the refrigerator, cilantro can last up to a week, though it is always best used sooner. This fragility is part of what makes cilantro special. It cannot be stored indefinitely or preserved without loss. It demands to be used fresh, to be appreciated in the moment. In a world of convenience and long shelf lives, cilantro is a reminder that some things are worth the effort, fleeting pleasures that reward those who seek them out. Coriander seeds have a warm, citrusy flavor, unlike the leaves. While cilantro leaves are polarizing, coriander seeds are beloved by nearly everyone. When dried and ground, coriander seeds release a warm, sweet, citrusy aroma with hints of sage and caraway. The flavor is complex, neither sharp nor overpowering, but adding depth and brightness to dishes. Coriander is a key ingredient in spice blends around the world, from Indian garam masala to Middle Eastern baharat to European pickling spices. It pairs beautifully with cumin, and the two are often used together, their flavors complementing and balancing each other. Toasting coriander seeds before grinding releases even more of their aromatic oils, intensifying their flavor. The seeds can also be used whole in pickles, stews, and marinades, where they add a subtle, lingering taste. What makes coriander seeds so remarkable is how different they are from cilantro leaves. The same plant produces two ingredients that taste nothing alike, each with its own culinary identity. This duality is unusual in the herb world and makes coriander plants doubly valuable. Whether you use the leaves, the seeds, or both, you are working with a plant that has delighted cooks for thousands of years. Dill has been used in cooking since ancient times. Dill is an herb of delicate beauty. Its feathery leaves, called dillweed, sway gently in the breeze, and its umbrella-shaped flower heads produce seeds that are equally aromatic. Dill has been cultivated for at least 5,000 years, appearing in ancient Egyptian medical texts and Sumerian recipes. The ancient Greeks and Romans valued dill for its flavor and its supposed medicinal properties. Roman gladiators rubbed dill oil on their skin, believing it would give them strength. In medieval Europe, dill was thought to protect against witchcraft, and people hung it over doorways or carried it in pouches. Dill's name may come from the Old Norse word dilla, meaning to soothe or lull, a reference to its traditional use as a digestive aid. Dill water, made by steeping dill seeds in hot water, was given to colicky babies to calm their stomachs. This practice continued for centuries, a gentle remedy passed down through generations. Today, dill is best known for its role in pickling, where both the leaves and seeds are used to flavor cucumbers. But dill is versatile. It brightens salads, enhances fish dishes, and adds freshness to soups. Its mild anise-like flavor is distinctive yet subtle, a perfect supporting player in the kitchen. Dill seeds and dill weed have different flavors. Dill is another herb that offers two distinct ingredients. Dill weed, the fresh or dried leaves, has a light, grassy flavor with hints of anise and lemon. It is delicate and best used fresh or added at the end of cooking to preserve its flavor. Dill seeds, the dried fruit of the plant, are stronger and more pungent, with a sharper anise flavor and a slightly bitter edge. They are used in pickling, where their bold taste can stand up to vinegar and salt, and in bread and soups, where they add depth and warmth. Because of their different flavors, dillweed and dill seeds are not interchangeable in recipes. Using one in place of the other will change the dish's character. This distinction is important for cooks who want to understand the full range of what dill offers. The plant's ability to provide two flavors, one soft and one strong, makes it a valuable addition to any herb garden. Whether you prefer the gentle touch of dill weed or the assertive punch of dill seeds, you are experiencing the multifaceted nature of this ancient herb. Dill is essential to Scandinavian and Eastern European cuisines. In the cuisines of Scandinavia and Eastern Europe, dill is not just common, it is essential. In Sweden, dill crowns gravlax, the famous cured salmon, and it flavors boiled potatoes, a staple of Swedish meals. In Poland, dill is added to soups, especially żurek, a sour rye soup, and it garnishes pierogi. In Russia, dill appears in salads, on fish, and in pickles, its fresh taste a counterpoint to rich, hearty dishes. These cultures have embraced dill in ways that other regions have not, making it a defining flavor of their cuisines. The cold climates of Northern and Eastern Europe may explain dill's popularity. Dill grows well in cooler temperatures, thriving where other herbs struggle. It also preserves well through drying and pickling, important qualities in regions with long winters. Over centuries, dill became woven into the culinary identity of these places, its flavor inseparable from traditional dishes. To taste dill in a Swedish potato dish or a Polish soup is to taste history, a connection to generations of cooks who reached for dill as naturally as others reach for parsley or basil. The word dill may come from an Old Norse word meaning to soothe. The etymology of dill's name offers a clue to its historical uses. The word dill likely derives from the Old Norse dilla, meaning to soothe, to calm, or to lull. This name reflects dill's traditional role as a digestive aid and a remedy for infant colic. Dill water, a mild infusion of dill seeds, was given to fussy babies to ease gas and stomach discomfort. The practice was so common that dill became associated with soothing, both in name and in reputation. Whether the name came first or followed the plant's uses is unclear, but the connection is fitting. Dill does have a calming quality, not just in its medicinal uses, but in its flavor. There is something gentle about dill, a softness that brings balance to dishes without demanding attention. This soothing nature extends to the garden, where dill's feathery foliage sways peacefully, attracting beneficial insects and adding a sense of tranquility. To grow dill is to invite a little bit of calm into your garden, a plant that asks for little and gives much, including a name that whispers of comfort and ease. Oregano is one of the defining flavors of Mediterranean cooking. Oregano is the taste of summer in the Mediterranean. Its pungent, slightly bitter leaves carry a warmth that enhances tomatoes, olive oil, and grilled meats. In Greek, Italian, and Spanish cuisines, oregano is indispensable, the herb that ties dishes together. Greek salads are unfinished without a sprinkle of dried oregano. Italian pizzas and pasta sauces depend on its robust flavor. Spanish meat dishes use oregano to add depth and complexity. The herb thrives in the hot, dry climates of the Mediterranean, growing wild on hillsides where it is harvested and dried for use throughout the year. Oregano's flavor intensifies when dried, unlike many herbs that lose potency. This makes dried oregano a staple in pantries worldwide, a rare example of a dried herb that is often preferred over fresh. The essential oils in oregano, particularly carvacrol and thymol, are responsible for its distinctive taste and its antimicrobial properties. These compounds also give oregano its reputation as a medicinal herb, used in traditional remedies for respiratory issues and digestive complaints. But most people encounter oregano not as medicine but as food, a flavor so tied to Mediterranean cooking that it is hard to imagine the cuisine without it. The name oregano means joy of the mountain in Greek. Oregano's name is as poetic as the plant itself. It comes from the Greek words oros, meaning mountain, and ganos, meaning joy or brightness. Together, they form oreganos, the joy of the mountain. This name reflects where oregano grows naturally, on rocky mountain slopes and hillsides across the Mediterranean, where it thrives in poor soil and full sun. The sight of wild oregano in bloom, its pink and purple flowers dotting the landscape, is indeed a joy, a splash of color and fragrance in otherwise harsh terrain. The ancient Greeks associated oregano with happiness and celebration. Bridal couples were crowned with wreaths of oregano, and the herb was planted on graves to bring peace to the dead. Oregano was a symbol of honor and joy, a plant that brought beauty and flavor to life. This cultural significance adds depth to the simple act of sprinkling oregano on a pizza or salad. You are using an herb that has been associated with joy and celebration for thousands of years, a plant that has brightened mountains and meals alike. Oregano contains compounds with strong antimicrobial properties. Oregano is more than a culinary herb. It is a powerful plant with natural defenses. The essential oils in oregano, particularly carvacrol and thymol, have strong antimicrobial properties. Studies have shown that these compounds can inhibit the growth of bacteria, including some antibiotic-resistant strains, as well as fungi and even certain viruses. In traditional medicine, oregano oil has been used to treat respiratory infections, digestive issues, and skin conditions. While more research is needed to fully understand oregano's medical potential, the evidence suggests that the plant contains compounds with real therapeutic value. This antimicrobial power explains why oregano has been used for centuries, not just as food but as medicine. Before modern antibiotics, people turned to plants like oregano to fight infection and illness. The herb's strong flavor was a signal of its potency, a taste that both protected and healed. Today, oregano oil is sold as a dietary supplement, marketed for its health benefits. Whether used in cooking or as a remedy, oregano offers more than flavor. It offers a glimpse into the medicinal wisdom of the past and the ongoing relevance of plants in health and healing. Wild oregano and culinary oregano are often different species. When you buy oregano at the grocery store, you might be getting one of several different plants. True oregano, Origanum vulgare, is a specific species native to the Mediterranean, but the term oregano is also applied to related plants in the Origanum genus, and even to unrelated plants with similar flavors. Mexican oregano, for example, comes from a completely different plant family and has a more citrusy, licorice-like flavor. Cuban oregano is actually a type of succulent. The variety sold as oregano depends on where it was grown and what the local culinary tradition considers oregano. This confusion is partly because oregano's flavor is more important than its botanical identity. What matters in the kitchen is the taste, and different oregano species and varieties can achieve similar results. Wild oregano, harvested from hillsides in Greece or Italy, is often considered the most flavorful. Its oils concentrated by the harsh growing conditions. Cultivated oregano is milder, easier to grow but less intense. For cooks, understanding these differences can help them choose the right oregano for their needs. But for most, oregano is oregano, a reliable herb that brings the warmth of the Mediterranean to any dish. Bay leaves come from the laurel tree, sacred to Apollo. Bay leaves, those stiff, aromatic leaves, added to soups and stews, come from the bay laurel tree, Laurus nobilis. This tree was sacred to the ancient Greeks, who associated it with Apollo, god of music, poetry, and prophecy. The oracle at Delphi, Apollo's most famous shrine, was said to chew bay leaves to induce visions. Athletes and poets were crowned with laurel wreaths, symbols of victory and honor. The phrase, resting on your laurels, meaning to rely on past achievements, comes from this tradition. To be crowned with laurel was to be recognized as the best, a champion or a master of one's craft. Bay laurel trees are evergreen, their glossy leaves remaining green year-round. They grow slowly, often trained into topiaries or hedges in formal gardens. The leaves, when dried, release a subtle, complex aroma, slightly floral, with hints of menthol and eucalyptus. Fresh bay leaves are more pungent and can be bitter, so most cooks prefer dried leaves, which mellow as they age. Bay leaves are not eaten but are used to infuse flavor into dishes, then removed before serving. Their contribution is subtle, a background note that enhances without overwhelming. To use bay leaves is to connect with a tradition that stretches back to ancient Greece, where this tree was a gift from the gods. Bay leaves must be dried to develop their full flavor. Fresh bay leaves are surprisingly different from the dried leaves found in spice jars. When first picked, bay leaves are bitter and harsh, their flavor sharp and unpleasant. But as they dry, a transformation occurs. The bitterness fades, and a complex aromatic flavor emerges. This is why recipes almost always call for dried bay leaves. The drying process, which can take weeks, allows the leaves' essential oils to mellow and harmonize. Dried bay leaves can be stored for months or even years, their flavor gradually intensifying over time before eventually fading. Some cooks prefer bay leaves that have been dried for at least several weeks, believing they offer the best balance of flavor. Others keep bay leaves for years, using them sparingly and treasuring their concentrated aroma. The difference between fresh and dried bay leaves is a reminder that not all herbs are best used fresh. Some, like bay, need time to reach their full potential. Patience is rewarded with a depth of flavor that cannot be rushed, a lesson that applies to cooking and to life itself. A single bay leaf can flavor an entire pot of soup or stew. Bay leaves are subtle, but their impact is unmistakable. A single leaf added to a pot of soup, stew, or broth infuses the entire dish with its complex aroma. The flavor is hard to describe, slightly floral, faintly menthol, with earthy undertones. It does not dominate, but enhances, bringing depth and cohesion to the other ingredients. Bay leaves are often used in slow-cooked dishes, where they have time to release their oils into the liquid. Pasta sauces, braised meats, bean soups, and rice dishes all benefit from the addition of a bay leaf or two. The magic of bay leaves is in their restraint. Use too many, and the dish becomes medicinal, the flavor crossing from subtle to overpowering. Use one or two, and the result is a gentle complexity, a layer of flavor that makes people ask, "What is that taste?" without being able to identify it. This subtlety is why bay leaves have remained a staple in kitchens for centuries. They are not showy or attention-seeking, but they are essential. The quiet worker in the background that makes everything else taste better. Bay laurel wreaths crowned Olympic champions in ancient Greece. The Olympic Games of ancient Greece were sacred events held every 4 years in honor of Zeus. Athletes competed in running, wrestling, discus throwing, and other contests. Their performances celebrated as both physical and spiritual achievements. Winners were crowned with wreaths made from bay laurel, cut from a sacred grove near the Temple of Zeus in Olympia. These crowns were symbols of honor, glory, and divine favor. To wear a laurel wreath was to be recognized as the greatest, chosen by the gods themselves. The tradition of laurel wreaths extended beyond the Olympics. Poets, philosophers, and military leaders were also crowned with laurel, and the practice continued into Roman times. Roman emperors wore laurel crowns, and triumphant generals paraded through Rome with laurel on their heads. The image of the laurel wreath has endured, appearing in art, literature, and symbolism throughout history. Today, we still use the phrase, "to win one's laurels," to mean achieving recognition. Every time you add a bay leaf to your cooking, you are using a leaf from the same type of tree that crowned ancient champions. Tarragon has a distinctive anise-like flavor prized in French cooking. Tarragon is a graceful herb with slender, dark green leaves and a flavor unlike any other. Its taste is delicately sweet, with a pronounced anise or licorice note. Yet it is not as strong as actual anise. Tarragon walks a fine line, adding complexity without overwhelming. In French cuisine, tarragon is one of the most important herbs, a key ingredient in béarnaise sauce, a classic accompaniment to steak. It flavors chicken, fish, and egg dishes, and it is one of the herbs in the traditional Fines Herbs blend. French cooks understand tarragon's power and use it with a light hand, knowing that a little goes a long way. Tarragon is also popular in vinegar, where its flavor infuses the liquid, creating tarragon vinegar, a staple in French pantries. This vinegar is used in salad dressings and sauces, carrying tarragon's distinctive taste into countless dishes. There are two main types of tarragon: French tarragon, the culinary variety, and Russian tarragon, which is easier to grow but has much less flavor. Serious cooks insist on French tarragon, accepting its fussiness for the sake of its superior taste. Russian tarragon, while hardier, is considered by many to be not worth growing. French tarragon rarely produces seeds and must be propagated by cuttings. French tarragon, the variety prized by cooks, is a botanical oddity. It rarely flowers, and when it does, the flowers are almost always sterile. This means French tarragon does not produce viable seeds, making it impossible to grow from seed. Instead, it must be propagated by cuttings or root division. Gardeners who want French tarragon must obtain a plant or a cutting from an existing plant and nurture it into a new plant. This makes French tarragon more difficult to cultivate than other herbs, but it also ensures quality. Because it cannot cross-pollinate, French tarragon remains true to type, its flavor consistent from one generation to the next. Russian tarragon, by contrast, produces seeds readily, which is why it is often sold in seed packets. But Russian tarragon lacks the intense flavor of its French cousin, making it a poor substitute. This quirk of biology means that growing true French tarragon requires a bit more effort, but the reward is an herb with unmatched flavor. For those who take their cooking seriously, the extra effort is worthwhile. French tarragon is a reminder that the best things in life often cannot be mass-produced or rushed. They require care, patience, and a willingness to work with nature's peculiarities. Tarragon is one of the 4 herbs in the French Fines Herbs blend. In French cooking, certain herb combinations are considered essential. One of the most important is Fines Herbs, a blend of delicate herbs used to flavor omelets, sauces, and fish. The classic Fines Herbs blend includes 4 herbs: chervil, chives, parsley, and tarragon. Each herb contributes its own character. Chervil adds a mild anise sweetness. Chives bring a gentle onion flavor. Parsley provides freshness, and tarragon lends its distinctive licorice note. Together, they create a balanced, aromatic blend that enhances food without overpowering it. Fines herbs are always used fresh, never dried, as drying dulls their delicate flavors. The herbs are chopped finely, hence the name finds herbs, and added at the end of cooking or sprinkled over finished dishes. This approach preserves their bright, fresh taste. Finds herbs represent a philosophy of French cooking, that herbs should enhance, not dominate, and that the best flavors come from balance and restraint. To use finds herbs is to cook in the French tradition, where simplicity and quality ingredients create dishes of quiet elegance. Chervil has a delicate flavor and wilts quickly after harvest. Chervil is the shy member of the herb family. Its lacy, fern-like leaves and delicate flavor make it beautiful but fleeting. Chervil tastes like a gentle blend of parsley and anise, soft and sweet with a subtle licorice note. It is used extensively in French cooking, particularly in finds herbs and in spring soups and salads. But chervil is notoriously difficult to work with. Its flavor fades rapidly, and the leaves wilt within hours of harvest. This is why chervil is rarely found in grocery stores and almost never dried. To enjoy chervil, you must grow it yourself or find it at a farmer's market, and you must use it immediately. Chervil is also particular about growing conditions. It prefers cool weather and shade, bolting quickly in heat. It is best grown in spring or fall, when temperatures are mild. Despite these challenges, chervil is treasured by those who grow it. Its flavor is unique, a whisper of sweetness that elevates dishes without calling attention to itself. Chervil teaches patience and appreciation for ephemeral pleasures. It cannot be saved or stored. It must be enjoyed in the moment, a lesson in mindfulness wrapped in delicate green leaves. Chervil is often called gourmet's parsley. Because of its delicate flavor and its importance in French cuisine, chervil has earned the nickname gourmet's parsley. It resembles parsley in appearance, with its bright green lacy leaves, but its taste is more refined, more nuanced. Chervil does not shout, it whispers. It is the herb of subtlety, used by cooks who appreciate layers of flavor and who understand that not every ingredient needs to make a bold statement. In haute cuisine, chervil is prized for its elegance, appearing in dishes where its gentle anise flavor can be appreciated. The nickname also reflects chervil's status as a more sophisticated alternative to parsley. While parsley is ubiquitous and accessible, chervil is rare and special, reserved for those willing to seek it out and handle it with care. This exclusivity adds to chervil's mystique, making it a symbol of culinary refinement. To cook with chervil is to engage with a tradition of fine cooking, where the goal is not just to feed, but to delight, where every ingredient is chosen for its contribution to a harmonious whole. Chives are the smallest species of edible onion. Chives belong to the onion family, but they are the smallest and mildest members. Their slender, tubular leaves grow in clumps, reaching about a foot in height, and their flavor is gentle, a hint of onion without the sharpness or bite. Chives have been used in cooking for at least 5,000 years, appearing in ancient Chinese and Roman cuisines. They are one of the easiest herbs to grow, thriving with minimal care and spreading reliably year after year. In spring, chives produce beautiful purple flowers that are not only edible, but also delicious, with a mild onion flavor and a lovely crunch. The flowers can be separated into individual florets and scattered over salads or used as a garnish, adding color and flavor. Chives are versatile, used fresh to top baked potatoes, stirred into sour cream or cream cheese, sprinkled over soups and omelets, or added to salads. Their mild flavor makes them suitable for dishes where a subtle onion note is desired without overwhelming other ingredients. Unlike larger onions, chives do not need to be cooked. They are best used fresh, snipped with scissors just before serving to preserve their delicate flavor. Chive flowers are edible and taste like mild onions. Many people grow chives for their leaves, not realizing that the flowers are just as valuable. In late spring or early summer, chives send up tall stalks topped with globes of purple flowers. These blooms are not just decorative, they are edible and delicious. Chive flowers have a mild onion flavor, similar to the leaves but slightly sweeter. They can be pulled apart into individual florets and used as a garnish. They're vibrant purple, adding a pop of color to any dish. Chive flowers are beautiful in salads, scattered over soups, or used to top canapés and appetizers. Some cooks infuse chive flowers in vinegar, creating a delicate, onion-flavored vinegar that is lovely in dressings. The flowers also attract pollinators, making them a beneficial addition to the garden. For gardeners, allowing chives to flower is a small indulgence, a moment of beauty that also yields a culinary treat. After the flowers fade, cutting them back encourages the plant to produce more leaves. Chives are generous plants, offering both foliage and flowers, both flavor and beauty, asking for little in return. Chives have been cultivated in Europe and Asia for thousands of years. Chives are ancient, their use stretching back thousands of years across Europe and Asia. Archaeological evidence suggests that chives were used in China as early as 3000 BCE. They appear in ancient Greek and Roman texts, valued for their mild flavor and ease of cultivation. In medieval Europe, chives were grown in monastery gardens, where monks used them in cooking and medicine. They were believed to ward off evil spirits and disease, and bunches of chives were hung in homes for protection. Today, these superstitions have faded, but chives remain a beloved herb, grown in gardens and windowsills around the world. Their longevity as a cultivated plant speaks to their value. Chives are reliable, productive, and flavorful, the kind of plant that earns its place in a garden. They are also beautiful, with their slender leaves and cheerful flowers adding ornamental value. Chives have accompanied humanity for millennia, a quiet presence in gardens and kitchens, offering their gentle onion flavor to countless meals. To grow chives is to participate in a tradition older than recorded history, a continuity that connects us to the gardeners and cooks who came before. Fennel has a sweet, licorice-like flavor used in cooking and medicine. Fennel is a plant of many parts. Its bulbous base can be sliced and eaten raw or cooked, offering a crisp, sweet flavor with a hint of licorice. Its stalks are fibrous but can be used to flavor stocks. Its feathery fronds resemble dill and make a beautiful garnish, and its seeds, when dried, are a spice with a warm, sweet, anise-like flavor. Fennel has been cultivated for thousands of years, used by the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans. It appears in both cooking and medicine, valued for its flavor and its digestive properties. Fennel tea, made from the seeds, is a traditional remedy for bloating and indigestion. The plant's versatility makes it a favorite among cooks. Mediterranean cuisines, particularly Italian, use fennel extensively. The bulb is shaved into salads, roasted with olive oil, or braised until tender. Fennel seeds flavor sausages, breads, and fish dishes. In Indian cuisine, fennel seeds are chewed after meals to freshen breath and aid digestion. Fennel's sweet licorice flavor is polarizing. Some find it refreshing and delightful, while others are put off by its anise-like taste. But for those who love fennel, it is a plant of endless possibilities, offering multiple flavors from a single plant. Fennel seeds are chewed after meals in many cultures. In India and the Middle East, it is common to see a small dish of fennel seeds offered at the end of a meal. Diners take a pinch and chew the seeds, enjoying their sweet, refreshing flavor. This practice serves multiple purposes. Fennel seeds freshen breath, their aromatic oils masking food odors. They also aid digestion, helping to ease the discomfort of a heavy meal. The act of chewing fennel seeds is both practical and ritualistic, a moment of transition from eating to the rest of the evening. Some fennel seeds are coated in sugar, creating a sweet treat called mukwas, popular in India. This tradition of using fennel after meals has ancient roots. The Greeks and Romans chewed fennel seeds, and medieval Europeans did the same. Fennel's reputation as a digestive aid is supported by modern research, which has found that compounds in fennel seeds can relax the muscles of the gastrointestinal tract, reducing cramping and bloating. Whether enjoyed plain or sugar-coated, fennel seeds offer a simple pleasure, a way to end a meal with freshness and comfort. To chew fennel seeds is to engage with a practice that spans cultures and centuries, a small ritual that connects us to the past. The ancient Greeks believed fennel brought courage and strength. In ancient Greece, fennel was more than a culinary herb. It was a symbol of courage and vitality. Greek warriors ate fennel before battle, believing it would make them strong and brave. The Greek name for fennel, marathon, became famous as the site of a great battle. In 490 BCE, the Greeks defeated a much larger Persian army at the Battle of Marathon, fought on a plain thick with wild fennel. The victory became legendary, and the site's name, forever associated with fennel, passed into history. The modern marathon race takes its name from this battle, commemorating the run of a Greek messenger who carried news of the victory from Marathon to Athens. Fennel's association with strength and endurance made it a plant of warriors, but it was also used by common people for protection and health. Greek athletes ate fennel to maintain their fitness, and it was burned as incense in temples. This dual role, both martial and medicinal, reflects how deeply fennel was woven into Greek culture. To use fennel today is to echo an ancient belief that plants can fortify not just the body, but the spirit. Wild fennel grows along roadsides in Mediterranean climates. In California, Southern Europe, and other Mediterranean climates, wild fennel is a common sight along roadsides and in empty lots. It grows tall, often reaching 6 feet or more, its feathery foliage swaying in the breeze, and its yellow umbrella-shaped flowers brightening the landscape. Wild fennel is technically an invasive species in many areas, having escaped from cultivation and spread aggressively, but it is also a gift. The seeds, leaves, and pollen can all be foraged, offering free flavor to those who know what to look for. Wild fennel seeds are smaller and more intense than cultivated ones, and fennel pollen, the fine yellow dust from the flowers, is prized by chefs as a spice with an extraordinary, concentrated fennel flavor. Foraging wild fennel is a pleasant way to spend an afternoon, walking along quiet roads and harvesting armfuls of fragrant foliage. The plant's prevalence means there is no risk of over-harvesting, and it continues to thrive whether picked or ignored. Wild fennel reminds us that some of the best ingredients are free and abundant, growing in places we pass every day without noticing. To see wild fennel is to see a plant that has made itself at home, adapting and thriving in new lands, offering its gifts to anyone willing to stop and gather. Lemon balm has a bright citrus scent that calms the nerves. Lemon balm is a member of the mint family, and like its relatives, it grows enthusiastically, spreading through gardens with vigor. But unlike mint's cool sharpness, lemon balm smells of bright, fresh lemons. Crush a leaf between your fingers, and the scent is immediate, sunny, and uplifting. Lemon balm has been used for centuries to calm the nerves and lift the spirits. Medieval monks grew it in their gardens, brewing it into teas to ease anxiety and promote sleep. Paracelsus, the 16th century physician, called lemon balm the elixir of life, believing it could prolong youth and vitality. Modern research has found some support for these traditional uses. Studies suggest that lemon balm can reduce anxiety and improve mood, likely due to compounds that affect neurotransmitters in the brain. Lemon balm tea is a gentle remedy, soothing without sedating, making it suitable for daytime use. The plant's cheerful scent alone is enough to brighten a mood. To walk past a lemon balm plant on a warm day and catch its fragrance is to feel a small lift, a moment of lightness. Lemon balm is a plant of joy, offering comfort and calm in equal measure. Lemon balm is a favorite of honeybees. Lemon balm's botanical name, Melissa officinalis, comes from the Greek word melissa, meaning honeybee. This name reflects the plant's irresistible appeal to bees. When lemon balm blooms, its small white flowers attract bees in droves, and beekeepers have long planted lemon balm near hives to encourage bees to stay close. In ancient times, beekeepers rubbed lemon balm leaves on hives, believing the scent would keep bees calm and prevent them from swarming. Whether or not this actually worked, the practice speaks to lemon balm's long association with bees. The plant's name, Melissa, also carries symbolic weight. In Greek mythology, Melissa was a nymph who discovered and taught humans how to use honey. Lemon balm, with its sweet scent and its appeal to bees, became linked to this myth, a plant that bridges humans and the natural world. Today, lemon balm continues to serve bees, providing nectar and pollen throughout the summer. For gardeners who want to support pollinators, lemon balm is an excellent choice, easy to grow and beloved by bees. To plant lemon balm is to invite bees into your garden, creating a small haven where flowers, insects, and fragrance come together. Lemon balm tea can be enjoyed hot or cold. Lemon balm makes a refreshing tea, delicious both hot and iced. To prepare it, simply steep fresh or dried lemon balm leaves in hot water for 5 to 10 minutes. The resulting tea is pale and aromatic, with a gentle lemon flavor and a hint of herbal sweetness. Hot lemon balm tea is comforting, perfect for sipping before bed or during a stressful day. Iced lemon balm tea is refreshing, a perfect summer drink that can be sweetened with honey or left plain. Lemon balm pairs well with other herbs, particularly mint, creating a cooling, flavorful blend. Some people add lemon balm to black or green tea, enhancing the tea's flavor with a citrusy note. Lemon balm tea has no caffeine, making it safe for children and suitable for evening consumption. Its mild flavor is appealing even to those who do not usually enjoy herbal teas. In a world of complicated drinks, lemon balm tea is simple, requiring only leaves and water, yet delivering satisfaction and calm. To brew lemon balm tea is to take a moment of pause, a small ritual of self-care that connects you to centuries of people who found solace in this lemony herb. Marjoram is oregano's gentler, sweeter cousin. Marjoram and oregano are closely related, both belonging to the genus Oreganum, but where oregano is bold and pungent, marjoram is delicate and sweet. Marjoram has a softer, more floral flavor, with hints of pine and citrus. It is less assertive than oregano, making it suitable for dishes where a subtle herbal note is desired. In European cooking, particularly in Germany and France, marjoram is prized, used to flavor sausages, stews, and vegetable dishes. It pairs beautifully with poultry, veal, and delicate fish, enhancing without overpowering. Marjoram is also used in herbal medicine, traditionally brewed into teas, to ease digestive discomfort and calm the nerves. Like oregano, marjoram contains antimicrobial compounds, though in lower concentrations. The ancient Greeks called marjoram the herb of happiness, believing it brought joy to those who grew and used it. They planted it on graves to ensure peace for the departed, and used it in wedding ceremonies to bless the union. This association with happiness and celebration reflects marjoram's gentle, pleasing nature. To cook with marjoram is to invite a touch of sweetness and warmth into your kitchen. Marjoram was called joy of the mountains, alongside oregano. Marjoram shares oregano's poetic name, both herbs called joy of the mountains by the ancient Greeks. This reflects their natural habitat, growing wild on hillsides and mountain slopes across the Mediterranean. In fact, marjoram and oregano were often confused in ancient texts, their names used interchangeably. Both were associated with love, happiness, and protection. The Greeks wove marjoram into bridal wreaths, and Roman brides carried marjoram bouquets. The herb was believed to bring good fortune and ward off sadness. This shared name and symbolism speak to how closely related the two herbs are, not just botanically, but culturally. Both have served humanity for thousands of years, offering flavor, fragrance, and meaning. The mountains where they grow became places of joy, not just because of the herbs themselves, but because of what they represented: the abundance of nature, the beauty of wild places, and the simple pleasures of gathering herbs under the sun. Marjoram and oregano together embody the Mediterranean landscape, a place where food, culture, and the natural world are inseparably intertwined. Sweet marjoram and wild marjoram are different plants. The naming of marjoram can be confusing. Sweet marjoram, Oreganum majorana, is the culinary herb most commonly sold as marjoram. It has a delicate flavor and soft, rounded leaves. Wild marjoram, however, is actually another name for oregano, Oreganum vulgare. Despite the name, wild marjoram tastes like oregano, not like the sweet marjoram used in cooking. This confusion dates back centuries, when botanical distinctions were less precise, and herbs were often identified by common names that varied by region. For cooks, the important thing is to know that if a recipe calls for marjoram, it means sweet marjoram, not wild marjoram or oregano. Using oregano in place of marjoram will change the dish's character significantly, as oregano's bold flavor will dominate where marjoram's sweetness should gently enhance. This distinction is one of the many small details that separate good cooking from great cooking. Understanding not just what herbs to use, but which specific variety will achieve the desired result. Savory comes in two types: summer and winter. Savory is an herb with a peppery, slightly bitter flavor, less well known than basil or oregano, but equally valuable in the kitchen. There are two main types: summer savory and winter savory. Summer savory, Saturgia hortensis, is an annual with a milder, more delicate flavor. It has been called the bean herb because it pairs so well with beans, enhancing their flavor and aiding digestion. Winter savory, Saturia montana, is a perennial with a stronger, more resinous taste. It is hardier, surviving cold winters and growing into a woody subshrub. Both types have been used in European cooking for centuries, particularly in French and German cuisines. Savory is part of the Herbes de Provence blend, and it is used to season meats, vegetables, and legumes. The ancient Romans considered savory an aphrodisiac, associating it with satyrs, the mythological creatures of lust and revelry. The name savory may come from this association, or it may simply refer to the herb's savory, appetizing flavor. Either way, savory is a plant with a long history and a distinctive taste, deserving of more attention than it often receives. Summer savory is called the bean herb in Germany. In Germany, summer savory is known as Bohnenkraut, which translates to bean herb. This name reflects its traditional use in cooking beans. Savory's peppery flavor complements the earthiness of beans, and it is believed to reduce the digestive discomfort that beans can cause. Whether or not this is scientifically proven, the pairing has become so standard in German cooking that green beans without savory would seem incomplete. Summer savory is sown alongside beans in gardens, ready to be harvested when the beans are cooked. This tradition of pairing specific herbs with specific foods is common across cultures, and it speaks to generations of experimentation and wisdom. Cooks discovered that certain combinations worked, that savory and beans were better together than apart, and they passed this knowledge down. The name Bohnenkraut enshrines this pairing in language, ensuring that future generations will know that beans and savory belong together. It is a small example of how food culture is preserved, not just in recipes but in the very words we use. Ancient Romans believed savory was an aphrodisiac. The Romans had a complicated relationship with savory. They loved it in cooking, using it to flavor sauces and roasted meats. But they also associated it with desire, believing it had aphrodisiac properties. Savory was linked to satyrs, the lustful, goat-legged creatures of mythology who pursued nymphs through forests. Whether savory actually had any effect on desire is doubtful, but the belief persisted for centuries. In medieval Europe, monks were sometimes forbidden from growing savory in their gardens, lest it inflame unwanted passions. This association with desire is part of savory's complex history, a reminder that herbs were never just food. They were symbols, medicines, and ingredients in rituals both sacred and profane. Today, savory is simply a flavorful herb, its ancient associations mostly forgotten. But the name remains, a hint of its storied past, when it was believed to carry not just flavor but power. Borage has bright blue star-shaped flowers and a cucumber-like taste. Borage is a plant of cheerful beauty. Its star-shaped flowers are a brilliant blue, one of the truest blues in the plant world. They bloom in abundance, attracting bees and gardeners alike. But borage is not just ornamental. Its leaves have a fresh, cucumber-like flavor, and they have been used in salads and drinks for centuries. The flowers are also edible, often frozen into ice cubes or floated in summer beverages for their beauty. Borage has been cultivated since ancient times, with the Greeks and Romans using it as a tonic, believed to bring courage and gladness. The saying, "I, borage, bring courage," was inscribed on ancient cups, and soldiers drank borage wine before battle. Medieval herbalists continued this tradition, brewing borage into teas to lift the spirits and ease sadness. Borage contains compounds that may have mild, mood-enhancing effects, though modern science has not fully confirmed its ancient reputation. Regardless, borage remains a beloved garden plant. Its blue flowers a splash of color, and its cucumber-flavored leaves a refreshing addition to salads. To grow borage is to invite both beauty and flavor into the garden, a plant that offers multiple gifts. Borage flowers are traditionally added to Pim's cup. In England, borage is inseparable from summer. Its flowers are the traditional garnish for Pim's cup, a classic British cocktail made with Pim's No One, lemonade, and fresh fruit. The bright blue borage flowers float on top, adding a touch of elegance and a nod to tradition. Pim's cup is synonymous with English summers, served at garden parties, tennis matches, and lazy afternoons. Borage's association with this drink has kept the plant in English gardens for generations, ensuring its place in culinary tradition. The practice of adding borage to drinks is not new. For centuries, borage has been used to flavor wine, ale, and cordials. its fresh taste and beautiful flowers making it a natural addition to beverages. Today, borage remains a symbol of summer and celebration, a plant that transforms an ordinary drink into something special. To sip a Pim's cup garnished with borage is to participate in a tradition that stretches back through generations of English summers. The name borage may come from a Latin word meaning courage. The origin of borage's name is uncertain, but one theory links it to the Latin words cor ago, meaning I bring courage. This etymology aligns with borage's ancient reputation as a plant that bolstered the spirits and fortified the heart. Roman soldiers drank borage before going into battle, believing it would make them brave. The phrase borage for courage was repeated through the Middle Ages, and the plant remained a symbol of bravery and strength. Whether the name truly comes from cor ago or from another source, the association with courage has defined borage for centuries. This connection between a plant and a virtue is common in herbal lore. Plants were not just physical substances, but symbols of qualities humans valued. To drink borage was not merely to consume a flavored beverage. It was to invite courage into oneself, to embody the plant's symbolism. Today, we may not believe that borage can make us brave, but the tradition reminds us that our ancestors saw plants as partners, allies in the challenges of life. Lovage tastes like celery, but is much more intense. Lovage is an herb that has fallen out of common use, but those who know it value it highly. Its flavor is similar to celery, but much stronger, more concentrated. A little lovage goes a long way, adding a savory, almost meaty depth to soups, stews, and broths. Lovage grows tall, often reaching 5 or 6 feet, and it thrives with minimal care, returning year after year. It is native to southern Europe and has been cultivated since ancient times. The Romans used lovage extensively, and it was a staple in medieval European gardens. All parts of lovage are edible. The leaves can be used fresh or dried, the seeds are a spice, and the roots can be cooked like a vegetable. Despite its usefulness, lovage has become rare in modern gardens, overshadowed by more familiar herbs. This is a shame, as lovage offers a flavor that is difficult to replicate. For cooks looking to add depth to their dishes without relying on meat, lovage is a valuable ally. Its intense, savory flavor enriches vegetarian and vegan cooking, providing umami notes that make dishes satisfying and full-bodied. Ancient Greeks and Romans believed lovage aided digestion. Lovage has a long history as a digestive aid. The Greeks and Romans used it to settle upset stomachs and relieve bloating. They brewed lovage tea and added lovage to meals, believing it helped the body process food. Medieval herbalists continued this tradition, recommending lovage for a variety of digestive complaints. The herb contains compounds that may stimulate digestive enzymes and relax the gastrointestinal tract, providing some scientific basis for these traditional uses. In addition to its digestive properties, lovage was believed to have many other benefits. It was used to treat kidney stones, sore throats, and skin conditions. Some herbalists considered it a near-universal remedy, a plant that could address a wide range of ailments. While modern medicine has largely moved beyond lovage, the plant's historical importance is undeniable. It was a trusted companion in the herbal medicine cabinet, a plant people turned to when they felt unwell. Lovage's decline in popularity is part of a broader shift away from traditional remedies, but for those who remember or rediscover it, lovage remains a powerful and flavorful herb. Lovage seeds can be used as a seasoning. While lovage leaves are the most commonly used part of the plant, the seeds are also valuable. When dried, lovage seeds have a warm, aromatic flavor similar to celery seed but more complex. They can be used whole or ground, added to breads, crackers, soups, and stews. In some European cuisines, lovage seeds are used in spice blends, contributing a savory depth. The seeds are easier to store than the leaves, making them a practical way to preserve lavage's flavor. Growing lovage to seed is easy. The plant flowers in midsummer, producing umbels of small yellow-green flowers that eventually turn into seeds. Allowing lovage to go to seed does not harm the plant. In fact, lovage is perennial and will continue to produce leaves year after year. For gardeners, this means lovage is a gift that keeps giving, offering both fresh leaves and seeds, both immediate flavor and long-term seasoning. To use lovage seeds is to access a less common but equally delicious aspect of this underappreciated herb. Sorrel has a tart, lemony flavor from its oxalic acid content. Sorrel is a leafy green herb with a sharp, tangy flavor that wakes up the palate. Its tartness comes from oxalic acid, the same compound found in rhubarb and spinach. Sorrel's bright, lemony taste makes it a favorite in salads, soups, and sauces, where it adds acidity and complexity. In French cuisine, sorrel soup is a classic, the herb's tartness balanced by cream and butter. Sorrel is also used to make sauces for fish, its acidity cutting through the richness of fatty fish like salmon. Sorrel grows easily, often too easily, spreading through gardens with enthusiasm. There are several varieties, including garden sorrel and French sorrel, each with slightly different flavors and leaf shapes. Sorrel has been eaten since ancient times, with both Greeks and Romans enjoying it. Medieval Europeans grew it in kitchen gardens, and it remained a common ingredient until relatively recently, when it fell out of favor. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in sorrel, particularly among chefs looking for interesting, lesser-known ingredients. Sorrel's vibrant acidity is a tool for balancing flavors, adding brightness to dishes that might otherwise feel heavy. Sorrel has been eaten since Roman times as a spring green. Sorrel is one of the first greens to appear in spring, pushing through the soil when much of the garden is still dormant. This early arrival made sorrel a valuable vegetable in times when fresh greens were scarce. The Romans appreciated sorrel for this reason, eating it in salads and using it to make a tart sauce. They believed sorrel helped cleanse the system after a winter of heavy foods, a notion that aligns with its high vitamin C content and its refreshing acidity. In medieval Europe, sorrel was a Lenten food, eaten during the period of fasting before Easter, when meat was forbidden. Its bright flavor provided welcome relief from bland grains and root vegetables. Sorrel was foraged from wild meadows and cultivated in gardens, ensuring a reliable supply. Today, sorrel is less common in everyday cooking, but it remains a treasured ingredient for those who know it. To eat sorrel in spring is to participate in a ritual that stretches back thousands of years, welcoming the return of fresh, vibrant flavors after the long quiet of winter. Sorrel can be used to make a tangy soup or sauce. Sorrel's tartness makes it ideal for soups and sauces, where its acidity provides balance and depth. Classic French sorrel soup is simple, combining sorrel leaves with stock, cream, and sometimes eggs. The result is a pale green soup with a bright lemony flavor, both rich and refreshing. Sorrel sauce is another traditional preparation, often served with fish. The leaves are cooked down until they melt into a puree. Then cream or butter is added to soften the acidity. The sauce is both tart and creamy, a perfect complement to the richness of salmon or mackerel. Sorrel's flavor is strong, so it is usually used in combination with other ingredients rather than on its own. A handful of sorrel leaves can transform a pot of potato soup, adding a lively tang. Mixed into a green salad, sorrel provides a sharp contrast to milder lettuces. Sorrel is a reminder that tartness has a place in cooking, that acidity is not something to be feared, but embraced. It brightens, balances, and enlivens, turning ordinary dishes into something memorable. Herbs have been used in medicine for thousands of years. Long before pharmaceutical companies, there were herbalists. For thousands of years, humans have turned to plants for healing. Every culture developed its own system of herbal medicine, identifying which plants could soothe pain, reduce fever, heal wounds, or calm the mind. Ancient Egyptian papyri list hundreds of medicinal plants. Traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda in India are entire systems built around the use of herbs. Greek and Roman physicians wrote extensive texts on herbal remedies, knowledge that was preserved and expanded in medieval Europe. Herbs were the first medicines, and for most of human history, they were the only medicines. People learned through observation and trial which plants worked and which did not, passing this knowledge down through generations. Some herbal remedies have been validated by modern science, others have not. But the tradition of using herbs for healing reflects a fundamental truth, that plants contain compounds that can affect the human body, for better or worse. Today, many pharmaceutical drugs are derived from plants, a continuation of the ancient practice of turning to nature for healing. To use herbs is to connect with this long history, to honor the knowledge of those who came before. Many modern medicines are derived from plant compounds. When you take aspirin, you are benefiting from a compound originally found in willow bark. When you use morphine, you are using a substance from the opium poppy. Digitalis, a heart medication, comes from foxglove. Quinine, used to treat malaria, comes from cinchona bark. The list goes on. A significant portion of modern pharmaceuticals are either derived directly from plants or are synthetic versions of plant compounds. This is not coincidental. Plants produce complex chemicals to defend themselves, attract pollinators, and interact with their environment. Some of these chemicals happen to have effects on the human body that we find useful. Pharmaceutical companies screen plants from around the world, looking for new compounds that might lead to treatments. Traditional knowledge often guides this search, with scientists investigating plants that indigenous peoples have used medicinally for generations. While modern medicine has moved toward synthesizing drugs in laboratories, the roots of many medicines remain firmly planted in the herbal world. This connection between plants and healing is ancient and ongoing, a reminder that nature is still our greatest pharmacy. The word herb comes from Latin, meaning grass or green crop. The word herb has ancient roots, coming from the Latin herba, which means grass, green crop, or plant. This origin reflects how herbs were seen, not as a special category, but simply as useful plants, green things that grew and served human needs. Over time, the meaning narrowed to refer specifically to plants used for culinary, medicinal, or aromatic purposes. But the connection to green and growing things remains. Herbs are the plants we gather, the greenery we tend, the crops we harvest not for bulk, but for their special qualities. The Latin origin also connects to other words: herbivore, an animal that eats plants; herbarium, a collection of preserved plant specimens; herbalist, someone who works with medicinal plants. All these words share the same root, binding them to the idea of green living plants. To speak of herbs is to invoke this ancient connection, to recognize that what we call herbs are simply plants, but plants that have entered into a particular relationship with humans, offering their flavors, scents, and healing properties. Herbs can be grown in small spaces and containers. One of the great joys of herbs is that they do not require vast gardens or extensive knowledge. Many herbs thrive in small spaces, on windowsills, balconies, or patios. Herbs like basil, parsley, chives, and mint do well in containers, adapting to limited root space as long as they receive enough light and water. This accessibility has made herb gardening popular even among people with no yard at all. A few pots on a sunny balcony can provide fresh herbs throughout the growing season. Container gardening also allows for control. Invasive herbs like mint can be kept in check when confined to pots. Tender herbs that cannot survive winter can be brought indoors. The intimacy of container gardening, tending plants within arm's reach, creates a connection between gardener and plant that is immediate and rewarding. Snipping fresh basil from a pot on your kitchen counter, crushing rosemary from a plant by your door. These small acts bring the garden into daily life. You do not need acreage to grow herbs. You only need a bit of soil, some sun, and a willingness to care for living things. Fresh herbs are more flavorful than dried in most cases. There is no comparison between fresh basil and dried basil. Fresh basil is bright, aromatic, almost sweet. Dried basil is dusty and faint, a shadow of the original. This is true for many herbs. Fresh rosemary smells of pine and citrus. Dried rosemary is woody and one-dimensional. Fresh parsley is clean and peppery. Dried parsley is nearly flavorless. The essential oils that give herbs their character are volatile, meaning they evaporate quickly. When herbs are dried, much of their potency is lost. However, some herbs are exceptions. Oregano, thyme, and bay leaves actually improve, or at least maintain their flavor when dried, their essential oils concentrating as moisture evaporates. For most herbs, though, fresh is best. This is why herb gardens are so valuable. They provide access to herbs at their peak, full of flavor and vitality. For cooks who care about taste, growing or buying fresh herbs is worth the extra effort. The difference in flavor is not subtle, it is profound, transforming dishes from ordinary to extraordinary. Fresh herbs are one of the simplest ways to elevate cooking, requiring no special skill, only access to good ingredients at the right moment. Herbs are often added at different times, depending on the recipe. Cooking with herbs is as much about timing as it is about choice. Some herbs, like rosemary, thyme, and bay, have robust flavors that stand up to long cooking. They are added early, allowed to simmer in soups and stews, releasing their oils slowly over time. Their flavors mellow and integrate, becoming part of the dish's foundation. Other herbs, like basil, cilantro, and parsley, are delicate. Their flavors dissipate with heat, turning dull and bitter. These herbs are added at the end of cooking, stirred in just before serving to preserve their brightness. Understanding when to add herbs is one of the subtleties that separate experienced cooks from beginners. Adding basil too early results in a dish that tastes flat. Adding rosemary too late means its flavor does not fully develop. Some recipes call for herbs to be added at multiple stages, a bit at the beginning for depth and a bit at the end for freshness. This layering creates complexity, a dish that tastes both cooked and alive. Timing is everything. Knowing when to add herbs is knowing how to honor their nature, how to coax out their best qualities and avoid their worst. Herb gardens have existed since ancient civilizations. The impulse to gather useful plants in one place is ancient. As soon as humans settled and began cultivating crops, they created herb gardens. The Sumerians, one of the earliest civilizations, grew herbs nearly 5,000 years ago, recording their uses on clay tablets. Ancient Egyptian gardens included sections devoted to medicinal and aromatic plants. The The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, likely contained herbs among their plantings. Greek and Roman villas had dedicated herb gardens, carefully laid out and tended. Medieval monasteries were centers of herbal knowledge, with monks growing extensive physic gardens where medicinal plants were cultivated. These gardens were not just practical, they were spiritual spaces, places of quiet reflection where the act of tending plants was itself a form of prayer. The tradition continued through the Renaissance and into the modern era. Today, herb gardens remain popular, connecting contemporary gardeners to thousands of years of human history. To plant an herb garden is to participate in one of humanity's oldest activities, the careful cultivation of plants that heal, flavor, and delight. Monastery gardens preserved herbal knowledge through the Middle Ages. When the Roman Empire fell, much knowledge was lost, but not all. Monasteries became refuges for learning, and monks devoted themselves to copying ancient texts, including those on herbal medicine. They created physic gardens where they grew the plants described in these texts, testing and refining ancient remedies. Monks became the herbalists of medieval Europe, treating the sick and sharing their knowledge. These monastery gardens were meticulously organized, with each plant labeled and its uses documented. Illuminated manuscripts from this period show detailed illustrations of herbs, accompanied by descriptions of their medicinal properties. The monks' work preserved the herbal knowledge of Greece and Rome, ensuring it survived into the Renaissance, when it could be rediscovered and expanded. Without these monastic gardens, much of what we know about historical herbal medicine would have been lost. The monks' dedication to both spiritual and practical matters created a bridge across centuries, allowing ancient wisdom to reach modern times. Monastery gardens were more than collections of plants. They were living libraries, repositories of knowledge kept alive through careful tending. Medieval Europeans grew herbs in knot gardens for beauty and use. In medieval and Renaissance Europe, herb gardens were not just functional, they were ornamental. Knot gardens, intricate designs where low-growing herbs were planted in geometric patterns, became popular among the wealthy. Box, lavender, thyme, and santolina were arranged to create interlocking shapes, viewed best from above. These gardens were works of art, combining beauty with practicality. The herbs could be harvested for cooking and medicine, but they also delighted the eye and perfumed the air. Knot gardens required significant maintenance, with plants needing regular trimming to maintain their shapes. This labor was part of their appeal, a display of wealth and leisure. Only those with resources could afford to devote land and labor to such decorative purposes. Yet knot gardens also reflected a philosophy that utility and beauty were not opposites but could coexist. The same plants that flavored food and healed illness could also create patterns of astonishing beauty. This integration of the practical and the aesthetic is a hallmark of Renaissance thought, and knot gardens embody it perfectly. Herbs attract beneficial insects to the garden. Herb gardens are not just for humans, they are havens for beneficial insects. Many herbs produce flowers rich in nectar and pollen, attracting bees, butterflies, and other pollinators. Dill, fennel, and cilantro, when allowed to flower, draw in beneficial wasps and flies that prey on garden pests. Lavender and thyme are beloved by bees. Borage is a pollinator magnet. By planting herbs, gardeners create ecosystems where insects thrive, which in turn supports the health of the entire garden. These beneficial insects do more than pollinate. They also control pests. Ladybugs, lacewings, and parasitic wasps all visit herb flowers, and they help keep aphids, caterpillars, and other harmful insects in check. a diverse herb garden becomes a balanced environment where nature does much of the pest control work, reducing the need for chemicals. For gardeners who want to support biodiversity and create resilient growing spaces, herbs are essential. They are not just crops but partners, inviting beneficial creatures and fostering balance. Some herbs, like rosemary and thyme, are naturally pest-resistant. Herbs are survival specialists. Many of them grow in harsh conditions where pests would normally devastate less hardy plants. Their essential oils, the same compounds that give them their flavors and scents, often serve as natural pest deterrents. Rosemary, with its tough leaves and pungent oils, is rarely bothered by insects. Thyme's strong scent keeps many pests at bay. Lavender, sage, and oregano all produce oils that insects find unpleasant. This natural resistance makes herbs some of the easiest plants to grow organically. Gardeners who struggle with pests in their vegetable plots often find that herbs thrive without issue. This pest resistance is one reason herbs have been so successful. They protect themselves, requiring little intervention from humans. In companion planting, herbs are often placed near vegetables to help deter pests from more vulnerable crops. A few rosemary plants near a tomato patch, a border of lavender around a rose garden. These combinations use herbs' natural defenses to protect other plants. Herbs teach us that defense does not always require aggression. Sometimes, the best protection is simply being unappetizing. Companion planting with herbs can improve vegetable growth. Companion planting is the practice of growing certain plants together for mutual benefit. Herbs play a significant role in this traditional gardening method. Basil, when planted near tomatoes, is said to improve the tomato's flavor and deter pests. Chamomile is called the plant doctor because it is believed to improve the health of nearby plants. Dill attracts beneficial insects that prey on tomato hornworms and aphids. Nasturtiums, though technically a flower, are often grouped with herbs and act as trap crops, drawing aphids away from vegetables. These relationships are not always scientifically proven, but they are supported by generations of gardening experience. Some benefits are clear. Herbs that attract pollinators increase fruit set in nearby vegetables. Herbs with strong scents can confuse pests, making it harder for them to locate their preferred plants. Other benefits are subtler, possibly involving root interactions or soil chemistry. Whether the mechanisms are fully understood or not, companion planting works well enough that gardeners continue to use it. Herbs, with their strong scents and pest resistance, are natural companions to vegetables, helping to create gardens that are productive and resilient. Drying herbs preserves their flavor for months. When the growing season ends, herbs do not have to disappear from the kitchen. Drying herbs is a simple way to preserve their flavors for months. The process is straightforward. Harvest herbs on a dry morning after the dew has evaporated. Bundle them in small bunches and hang them upside down in a warm, dry, dark place. Within a week or two, the herbs will be fully dried, their leaves crisp and ready to crumble. Store them in airtight jars away from light, and they will retain their flavor for months, sometimes a year or more. Some herbs dry better than others. Rosemary, thyme, oregano, and bay leaves all dry beautifully, their flavors concentrating. Basil, cilantro, and chives lose much of their character when dried and are better preserved by freezing or using fresh. Dried herbs are more potent than fresh, so recipes typically call for less. A tablespoon of fresh herbs is roughly equivalent to a teaspoon of dried. Drying herbs is a traditional preservation method, connecting modern cooks to a time before refrigeration, when preserving the harvest was essential for survival. Freezing herbs in ice cubes keeps them fresh and ready to use. For herbs that do not dry well, freezing is an excellent alternative. One popular method is to chop fresh herbs and pack them into ice cube trays, then cover them with water or olive oil and freeze. Each cube becomes a single serving of herbs, ready to be dropped into soups, sauces, or sautés. The oil method works particularly well for herbs like basil, parsley, and cilantro, preserving their color and flavor better than water. When you need herbs in the middle of winter, you simply pop out a cube and add it to your cooking. This method is convenient and reduces waste. Instead of buying a large bunch of fresh herbs and using only a fraction before the rest wilts, you can freeze the extras and have them on hand whenever you need them. Frozen herbs are not suitable for garnishing, as they lose their structure when thawed. But for cooked dishes, they are nearly as good as fresh. Freezing is a modern solution to an old problem, using technology to extend the life of the harvest. Herb vinegars and oils capture their flavors in liquid form. Another way to preserve herbs is to infuse their flavors into vinegar or oil. Herb vinegars are easy to make. Simply place fresh herbs into a bottle of white wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar and let it sit for a few weeks. The vinegar draws out the herb's flavors, creating a seasoned vinegar perfect for salad dressings and marinades. Tarragon vinegar is a classic, as is dill vinegar. Herb oils are made similarly, with fresh herbs infused into olive oil. However, herb oils require more caution, as the combination of herbs, oil, and room temperature can create conditions for botulism. Herb oils should be refrigerated and used within a week, or the herbs should be dried first. These infusions capture the essence of herbs in liquid form, making them easy to use and adding a burst of flavor to dishes. A drizzle of rosemary oil over roasted vegetables, a splash of basil vinegar in a vinaigrette, these small touches elevate everyday cooking. Making herb vinegars and oils is a way to extend the garden's bounty, to keep the flavors of summer alive even when the plants have long since faded. Herb teas are called tisanes to distinguish them from true tea. When you brew chamomile or mint in hot water, you are not technically making tea. True tea comes only from the tea plant, Camellia sinensis, which produces black, green, white, and oolong teas. Herbal infusions are called tisanes to distinguish them from true tea. Tisanes have been consumed for thousands of years, valued for their flavors and their medicinal properties. They contain no caffeine, unless made from plants like yerba mate or guayusa, making them suitable for any time of day. Tisanes can be made from any part of a plant: leaves, flowers, roots, or seeds. Each herb offers a different flavor and effect. Peppermint is refreshing and aids digestion. Chamomile is calming and promotes sleep. Ginger root is warming and settles the stomach. Lemon balm lifts the mood. The variety is endless, and many people enjoy blending herbs to create custom tisanes tailored to their tastes and needs. Brewing a tisane is a simple ritual, a moment of pause in a busy day, a way to connect with the plants and with oneself. Steeping herbs in hot water releases their essential oils. When you pour hot water over fresh or dried herbs, you are not just adding flavor, you are extracting the plant's essential oils, the compounds that give herbs their scent and taste. Hot water acts as a solvent, drawing out these oils along with other beneficial compounds like antioxidants and vitamins. The longer you steep, the stronger the infusion becomes, though steeping too long can make some tisanes bitter. Most herbal teas are best steeped for 5 to 10 minutes, covered to trap the steam and prevent the volatile oils from escaping. The act of steeping is meditative, watching the water change color, smelling the aroma as it intensifies, waiting patiently for the right moment to drink. These small rituals slow us down, creating space for mindfulness. In a world that rushes, the simple act of making tea insists on pause. And when you finally lift the cup and take the first sip, warm and fragrant, you are tasting the essence of the plant, its oils and flavors released into liquid comfort. Many herbal teas have been used traditionally for specific ailments. Herbal teas are more than beverages. They are remedies, passed down through generations. Peppermint tea for upset stomachs, chamomile tea for insomnia, ginger tea for nausea, echinacea tea to support the immune system. These uses are rooted in traditional medicine, knowledge accumulated over centuries of observation and experience. While not all herbal remedies have been scientifically validated, many have, and they continue to be used because they work. The beauty of herbal teas is their gentleness. Unlike pharmaceuticals, which can have strong side effects, herbal teas offer mild, supportive care. They are not meant to cure serious illness, but to ease discomfort and support the body's natural healing processes. Drinking a cup of tea when you feel unwell is a way of caring for yourself, of offering comfort and warmth. It is also a way of honoring the wisdom of the past, trusting in remedies that have helped countless people before you. Herbal sachets filled with dried herbs can freshen drawers and closets. Dried herbs are not just for cooking and tea. They can also freshen your home. Sachets, small cloth bags filled with dried lavender, rosemary, or rose petals, have been used for centuries to keep linens and clothing smelling fresh. Lavender sachets are classic. Their sweet scent not only pleasant, but also repellent to moths and other insects. Tuck a lavender sachet into a drawer of sweaters, and you protect your clothes while keeping them fragrant. Rosemary, mint, and lemon balm also make excellent sachets. Placed in closets, they impart a clean, herbal scent to clothing. In cars, a small sachet can act as a natural air freshener. Making sachets is a simple craft, requiring only scraps of fabric and dried herbs. It is a way to use herbs that are past their prime for cooking, but still aromatic. Sachets are small gifts, both practical and beautiful, a way to share the garden's fragrance with others. Lavender sachets were traditionally placed under pillows to aid sleep. For centuries, people have placed lavender sachets under their pillows, believing the scent would promote restful sleep. This practice is supported by modern research, showing that lavender's aroma can reduce anxiety and improve sleep quality. The scent is gentle, not overpowering, making it perfect for the bedroom. A small sachet tucked into a pillowcase releases its fragrance throughout the night, creating a calming environment that encourages relaxation. This tradition is simple and accessible. All you need is a small cloth bag and dried lavender. Refresh the sachet occasionally by crushing it gently to release more scent, or replace the lavender when it fades. In a world of complicated sleep aids and medications, a lavender sachet is a reminder that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Nature offers what we need, often in the simplest forms, asking only that we slow down and pay attention. Potpourri is a mixture of dried herbs and flowers used for fragrance. Potpourri, from the French potpourri meaning rotten pot, is a blend of dried plant materials used to scent rooms. Traditional potpourri includes rose petals, lavender, rosemary, and other aromatic herbs and flowers, often mixed with spices like cinnamon and cloves. The mixture is placed in a bowl or sachet, releasing a gentle, natural fragrance. Potpourri dates back centuries, popular in homes before modern air fresheners existed. It was a way to combat unpleasant odors and bring the scent of the garden indoors. Making potpourri is a creative process, allowing you to blend scents to your preference. roses for sweetness, lavender for calm, citrus peel for brightness. Essential oils can be added to intensify the scent. Potpourri can be refreshed periodically by stirring it or adding a few drops of oil. Though less common today, potpourri represents a connection to nature, a way to fill your home with the fragrances of plants rather than synthetic chemicals. It is a quiet luxury, a small pleasure that costs little but offers much. Pressed herbs can be preserved as decorations. Herbs are not only useful, they are beautiful. Pressing herbs preserves their delicate shapes and colors, creating decorations that capture the garden's beauty. To press herbs, place them between sheets of paper or in a flower press and leave them for several weeks until completely dry. Once pressed, herbs can be framed, used in cards, or incorporated into crafts. Pressed rosemary sprigs, fern-like fennel fronds, and lavender flowers all make lovely decorations. This practice dates back centuries, when people created herbarium, collections of pressed plants used for study and reference. Today, pressing herbs is more often done for art than science, but the principle is the same. It is a way to hold on to beauty, to capture a moment in the garden and preserve it. Pressed herbs remind us that plants are ephemeral, their blooms and leaves fleeting. By pressing them, we extend their life, at least in memory and form, creating lasting keepsakes of the growing season. Herb wreaths can be made from fresh or dried herbs. Wreaths made from herbs are both decorative and aromatic. Fresh herb wreaths, made from rosemary, bay, sage, or thyme, can hang on a door or wall, releasing fragrance and adding a natural touch to your home. As they dry, the colors fade but the scent remains. Dried herb wreaths last for months, their foliage providing a rustic, beautiful decoration. Making an herb wreath is a meditative craft, binding stems together with wire or twine, shaping them into a circle, a symbol of continuity and wholeness. Herb wreaths can also be practical. Hang a rosemary wreath in the kitchen, and you can snip sprigs as needed for cooking. Bay leaf wreaths serve the same purpose. These wreaths blur the line between decoration and utility, embodying the idea that beautiful things can also be useful. In a world that often separates the aesthetic from the practical, herb wreaths remind us that the two can coexist, that the same object can delight the eye, perfume the air, and flavor our food. Herbs have symbolic meanings in many cultures. Throughout history, herbs have carried symbolic meanings. Rosemary for remembrance, lavender for devotion, sage for wisdom, thyme for courage. These associations are cultural, passed down through stories, literature, and tradition. In Shakespeare's Hamlet, Ophelia distributes herbs to characters, each one carrying a message. Rosemary for remembrance to Laertes, fennel for flattery, columbine for infidelity. The audience would have understood these plant languages, recognizing the meanings encoded in flowers and herbs. In Victorian times, the language of flowers reached its peak, with entire dictionaries published to help people send messages through bouquets. Herbs played a role in this language, their meanings allowing people to express emotions that social convention prevented them from speaking aloud. Today, these symbolic meanings have largely faded from everyday knowledge, but they linger in phrases and traditions. To offer rosemary at a funeral, to carry lavender in a bridal bouquet, these acts echo ancient meanings. Herbs are not just plants, they are symbols, carriers of human emotion and intention. Bridal bouquets once included herbs for luck and protection. Before elaborate floral arrangements became standard, brides carried bouquets of herbs. These herb bundles were not just decorative, they were protective charms, meant to bring luck, ward off evil, and ensure a happy marriage. Rosemary was a favorite, symbolizing remembrance, and fidelity. Lavender represented devotion and love. Thyme signified courage, a quality needed for embarking on a new life. Sage offered wisdom. Ivy symbolized fidelity. These herb bouquets were fragrant and meaningful, every plant chosen for its symbolism. The tradition of herb bouquets persisted for centuries, particularly in rural areas where flowers were less accessible. Even today, some brides incorporate herbs into their bouquets, reviving an old tradition. The scent of herbs adds a unique, memorable quality, and the symbolism adds depth. To carry an herb bouquet is to connect with generations of brides who did the same, who believed in the power of plants to bless and protect. It is a tradition that honors both nature and history. Rosemary sprigs were once carried at funerals. Rosemary's association with remembrance made it a fixture at funerals. Mourners carried sprigs of rosemary and dropped them into the grave, ensuring the dead would not be forgotten. Rosemary was also woven into wreaths and placed on coffins. The herb's evergreen nature, its leaves remaining green through winter, symbolized eternal life and enduring memory. In a time when flowers were seasonal and expensive, rosemary offered a way to honor the dead with something meaningful and accessible. This tradition has largely disappeared, replaced by modern funeral practices, but the symbolism remains in literature and language. To say rosemary for remembrance is to echo centuries of use, to invoke a plant that has witnessed countless goodbyes. Rosemary's role in funerals reminds us that herbs are not frivolous. They are serious, woven into the most important moments of human life. Birth, marriage, death, all have been marked with herbs, plants that carry our hopes, our sorrows, and our memories. Fresh herbs elevate even simple meals. One of the simplest ways to improve your cooking is to use fresh herbs. A handful of chopped parsley transforms plain pasta. Fresh basil makes a tomato salad sing. Rosemary turns roasted potatoes into something special. The difference fresh herbs make is disproportionate to their size. A few leaves can brighten a dish, adding layers of flavor and freshness that dried herbs cannot match. This is why professional chefs insist on fresh herbs. They understand that small details matter, that the final sprinkle of cilantro or the garnish of chives is not optional, but essential. For home cooks, keeping fresh herbs on hand changes how you cook. Instead of following recipes rigidly, you start to improvise, adding a bit of this and a pinch of that, tasting as you go. Cooking becomes more intuitive, more connected to the senses. Fresh herbs teach you to pay attention, to notice how flavors build and balance. They reward experimentation and creativity. With fresh herbs, even the simplest meal can become a quiet triumph. Growing your own herbs connects you to your food. There is something profound about growing the food you eat. It creates a connection, a sense of responsibility and care that extends from the soil to the plate. When you grow herbs, you participate in their entire life cycle. You plant the seeds, water the seedlings, watch them grow, and finally, you harvest and use them. This process makes you aware of the effort and time required to produce food. It fosters gratitude and mindfulness. Growing your own herbs is also deeply satisfying. There is pride in serving a meal garnished with herbs you grew yourself, in tasting the literal fruits of your labor. The act of tending plants, even on a small scale, grounds you, connecting you to the earth and to the rhythms of nature. In a world that feels increasingly disconnected from the sources of our food, growing herbs is a small act of reclamation, a way to take back a piece of self-sufficiency and to remember that food does not come from stores. It comes from the earth, from seeds, from sun and water and care. Herbs remind us of the simple pleasures in life. In their own quiet way, herbs teach important lessons. They remind us that not everything valuable is complicated or expensive. A sprig of rosemary, a handful of basil. These are gifts that cost almost nothing, yet offer immense pleasure. Herbs remind us to slow down, to take time to smell, to taste, to notice. They invite us to be present, to engage with the world through our senses. A garden full of herbs is a garden full of small miracles, plants that give generously and ask for little in return. Herbs also remind us of continuity. The basil you grow this summer is descended from basil grown thousands of years ago. The rosemary on your table is the same rosemary that flavored Roman meals. Herbs connect us to the past and to each other, to everyone who has ever grown, cooked with, or found comfort in these plants. They are common, but they are also timeless, simple, but profound. In a world that often feels overwhelming, herbs offer a return to basics, to the fundamental human acts of growing, cooking, and sharing food. And so, dear listener, our journey through the world of herbs comes to a close. From the bright sweetness of basil to the calming touch of lavender, from the resilient rosemary clinging to Mediterranean cliffs to the delicate chervil that fades within hours of harvest. We have wandered through gardens ancient and modern, through kitchens and medicine cabinets, through myths and memories. We have seen how herbs have accompanied humanity through millennia, offering flavor, healing, and beauty. The herbs around us are both ordinary and extraordinary. They grow in pots on windowsills and in vast fields under the sun. They are used by grandmothers making traditional remedies and by chefs creating innovative dishes. They connect the past to the present, the garden to the plate, the earth to our senses. Every time you crush a leaf and breathe in its fragrance, you are participating in an experience shared by countless people before you. Every time you add herbs to a meal, you are honoring a tradition that stretches back to the very beginnings of cooking. As you lie here now, letting your breath slow and deepen, imagine yourself in a quiet garden. The sun is setting, casting golden light across rows of herbs. The air is warm and filled with fragrance, lavender and rosemary, basil and thyme. Each plant sways gently in the breeze, content in its place, offering its gifts without asking for anything in return. You walk among them, running your fingers along their leaves, releasing bursts of scent that linger in the air. The garden is peaceful, a place where time moves slowly and worries fade. See yourself sitting on a bench among the herbs, the last light of day painting everything in soft colors. The garden hums quietly, with bees finishing their work, birds settling into their nests, the gentle rustle of leaves. Everything is calm, everything is as it should be. The herbs will be here tomorrow and the day after, growing patiently, waiting to share their flavors and scents. They ask nothing of you now. They simply exist, green and fragrant, alive and peaceful. Let this image stay with you as you drift. Let the imagined scent of lavender and chamomile surround you. Let the quietness of the garden fill your mind, pushing out all other thoughts. The herbs are resting too, their work for the day done, the sun gone, the night settling in. You are part of this rhythm, this natural cycle of growth and rest, of giving and receiving, of waking and sleeping. Close your eyes if they are not already closed. Feel your body sinking deeper into comfort, your breath becoming slower and easier. The garden in your mind remains, a place of safety and peace. The herbs stand watch, silent guardians that ask for nothing but offer everything. They will still be there when you wake, ready to greet you with their familiar scents and their timeless presence. If you are still awake, you can go ahead and watch the next video when you are ready. But if your eyes are growing heavy, let the quiet garden hold you and carry you gently into rest. Drift into sleep, into stillness, into the vast and timeless quiet where all living things rest. Good night.